Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. How are we doing? I hope the sound's okay. Um, I don't have, I think, most of my mods are busy right now. Hold on. Oh my god. Oh, oh gosh. Okay. Sorry. You had to, I had to move my chair because my dog was suddenly underfoot. And I was like, hi? So I had to scoop my chair out of the way real quick. Um, Hi, everybody. Happy Friday the 13th, February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, however you want to say it. I'm so happy to be here with you. I hope I hope the music's okay. I'm doing all right. Thank you so much for asking, Shonen. Aloha. Hi. Thank you so much for diving in, everybody. I really appreciate it. Uh, let's see here. Oh, sometimes yesterday. Yeah, let me talk about what happened yesterday. So, Neo and Kobrak, thank you so much for diving in yesterday. Um, so I updated my Windows and it completely destroyed my OBS or whatever the hell. Like it said like all my files no longer existed. I got it fixed pretty easily, but I was so stressed and I was already not feeling well because of my medication increase uh, for my health stuff. I kind of just like was like I am going to lie down. So I just went and I laid down and relaxed and I did some stuff and I wasn't feeling very well, so it was okay. But thank you so much for taking the plunge today, Shonen, Andy, Neo, Hankos, and Kobrak. Hi, welcome in. I'm so happy to have you. It's so good to see you. I hope, again, let me know if the sound is okay. I just put some World of Warcraft music on in the background because I'm familiar with the soundtrack, and when they say relaxing World of Warcraft music, I know what to expect, and I didn't want anything that was too stressful or too off theme today. So, to kind of go into this, if people don't know, I do these oracle readings. They are based on the Tessera Oracle, and which is I did not create, but I did create custom cards to use as replacements because they feel more appropriate for me. And I'm going to be doing relationship readings. So, relationship readings to me mean not just romantic love, but friendship and family. And so, because those are the things that are, the most important to me. And so, that's what I'm really going to be focusing on. If you would like a reading, you can certainly ask during stream. That's not a problem. I won't be able to make it anonymous. I've been taking some anonymous requests because some people, understandably, sometimes want to be anonymous when they ask for a reading. And so I've been taking anonymous requests and assigning like a fake name. I've basically been doing it according to like card suits and like ace, king, queen, jack, right? So if you have requested to be anonymous, I will let you know after the stream, or I may have already let you know which identity I have given you. But yeah, so I view Valentine's Day as a day to celebrate like all love. That's because ever since I was a kid, like my very first Valentine's Day, whatever I've spoken at length at like how frustrating my family is, but something that I do cherish and treasure is how my dad, was very excited for my very first Valentine's Day, and he bought me a single rose. Keep in mind, I was a little baby. I was nowhere near a year old yet. And he bought me a single rose and a Valentine's Day card, and so my dad was basically my first Valentine. And my mother also participated. Well, my mother and my dad. It's not fair for me to say just my dad, because my mother also loves Valentine's Day. And so both of my parents were very intent on Valentine's for me revolving around how much they loved me, right? So yeah, that's kind of my relationship with Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day for me has always made sense. And especially growing up, you're like, okay, bring your cards for all your friends and stuff like that. And so it's been, it's always been historically, if you might hear me like playing with the cards in the background, like kind of shuffling them and tapping them on the table. historically it's always been for me a non-romantic holiday. It can be like if you're expressing love for, you know, somebody you're in love with in a romantic sense, but the foundation of it is like familial love, like the love for your friends, stuff like that. So for me, I love Valentine's Day. I am there have been I think I don't think I've ever been with I've dated many people, but I don't think I've ever really celebrated Valentine's Day with people in a really romantic sense, except for maybe my last girlfriend. None of my boyfriends were particularly interested in celebrating Valentine's Day. And to be fair, you know, looking back on those relationships, I'm okay with that. You know, it's kind of funny how you could think that you're in love and everything else, especially when you're really young, like you're a teenager and then you're in your 20s. And then you get to like I'm in my mid 30s right now, old, and you kind of realize like, oh, I wasn't in love with those people at all. And it's kind of interesting how your perception of love kind of adjusts the older you get, and the more, and you know, the different types of people that you are exposed to. I don't even want to say it's because of the people that you might have dated or been in a relationship with. It's just kind of, you know, it's interesting how it changes, the perception changes, and like what defines itself as love to you shifts. And you're like, because I think that the first time I really understood what real love was my last girlfriend. And it was an awkward relationship, and neither of us were very good for the other person. But it really redefined and realigned the way that I see romantic love. Because it just kind of made me realize what my priorities were, what exactly I was willing to deal with. And I'm not, this isn't me being like, oh, she was a terrible person or anything. We were both messy. We were both messy. It was not a proud moment for either of us. Dudes are a little emotionally stunted like that. I don't know. I think that there are a lot of really romantic dudes. I think I've just had really bad luck when dating men, if I'm going to be honest. None of the men I ever really dated have been particularly considerate of me. I did adjust my mic. Or loving or kind. A lot of them kind of just like used me for years, and I thought that was love, and it wasn't love. And I'm not just counting like the, you know, my cisgender partners. I'm also including like my, you know, the partners I've been with who have been like transgender and stuff like that. But I can say that the men that I've dated, the individuals who identify as men that I've dated, were not, who are, I want to say like the majority cisgender men. I think it was just like luck of the draw. You know what I mean? I think that was it. I think it was, I know for a fact that there are very romantic and very loving men out there. And I just have not been fortunate enough to meet them or date them. And that's okay. It happens. But that's me. You know what I mean? But I know they exist. I know they're out there. I don't know if I'll ever get to date one, but I know they're out there. Yeah, so relationships for me I think relationships for everybody are kind of interesting and unique and different experiences, obviously. It's like, you know, saying that, you know, the earth is round, you know. But yeah, Valentine's Day has never been particularly romantic for me. It's always been a chance for me to celebrate the love that I have, not just for my family, but for my friends, who are the individuals that, you know, I found that losing a friend is oftentimes more devastating to me than losing a romantic partner. And so I take that very, very seriously. I take those relationships very, very seriously. I never want my friends to think that I take them for granted. I, I, I'm not somebody who likes to just like make new friends and move on. I like to make sure that I keep in touch with people as best I can. There are some people I actually need to get back in touch with recently. I hadn't heard from in a while. It wasn't because I hadn't kept in touch. It was just, sometimes other people aren't great at keeping in touch, and that's okay. And, sometimes there are friendships where it seems like you're doing all the keeping in touch. And there are some friends I'm willing to just, like, let that kind of decay and atrophy and let go of that friendship. And then there's other friendships where I'm like, well, that's just how they are. Like, it doesn't mean, you know what I mean? It'll be okay, if we don't talk for like a few months or something like that. So I need to get in touch with a couple people. I try really hard to stay in touch. I'm, as I've shared before with people, I am still friends with like my very best friend from first grade. I know I said second grade before, but she went ahead and corrected me. She was like, no, it's first grade. And I was like, oh, that's my bad. I had misremembered. And I actually saw her and her husband quite recently, and they're absolutely wonderful and lovely people, and I love them very, very much. So I'm not somebody who kind of takes my friendships lightly, and I want my friends to know how much I love them, how much I cherish them, how much I appreciate them, and how much I am grateful to have them in my life, because without my friends and my chosen family, I don't think I'd be here, if I'm going to be honest. Paradox, thank you so much for taking the plunge. Aloha, welcome in. But yeah, so that's how I view Valentine's Day. And I mean, I know a lot of people see it as strictly a romantic holiday. That's okay. That's totally fine. I'm not here to convince you of anything else. This is just me explaining my point of view and why that's my main focus. I think I'd like one time to experience being in a relationship with somebody who is also very jazzed about like love and expressing love, and to be able to be like, oh my god, I've got this Valentine's surprise planned for my partner. I'd love that. But I'm not in a rush to find that right now. And the next person I end up with, they might end up being not into it, but they might end up still being a wonderful individual and romantic in their own way. I have come to realize that I deserve a lot more out of a relationship, and that I should not just take the bare minimum. So if I'm being honest, I would love to try dating somebody who is a romantic partner, in their way. This is Stormwind music. Oh my god, it's intense for this conversation. But I think it's just like starting zone music and city music. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. Because before I think it was Elven Forest, so now they're probably going through the cities. But again, I don't like playing around in absolutes, right? Because I feel like people who make statements on like absolutes, like I would never, unless it's like, an obvious absolute, as in like I would never date somebody who was like a fucking racist or a homophobe. Like that makes sense to me. But when somebody is like, I would never date like this type of person, I'm like, I don't know. I don't like dealing in absolutes like that, because you never know who's going to surprise you, who's going to come your way. And I also think it's a little bit egotistical, because it's like, oh, like they might not want to date you, honey. They might not want to date you. You want to be picky? They might not want to date you. You might meet somebody who is like, you might be like, I don't want to date somebody who's in this career path. And then you're like, or like, well, I don't want to say career path. That's not a good example. Because there are careers out there that are, we'll just say like, I don't want to date somebody who has like, who likes trains as a hobby. Let's use it as an example. And I don't think that's nice because, you know, how do you know? You might find somebody who likes trains and is really into trains as a hobby and collects, you know, and like builds train sets and stuff like that. And you might find somebody who's really wonderful, who's into all of that. And guess what? That doesn't mean they'd want to date you. But you put that energy out there, man. So I don't know. I don't like it when people deal in absolutes like that. Young men are being taught through social media that they'll get taken advantage of for being romantic. It's a shame, honestly. Is that really it? I mean, historically, the men that I've dated, they're just kind of like, I don't do that. That, like, you know, it was very kind of like, I will say, like, kind of homophobic. It was like, I don't do that kind of like Nancy stuff. I don't do that kind of gay stuff like that. Or like, I love you, don't you believe I love you, stuff like that. Is that really it? They think that if they're romantic, they'll get taken advantage of. You're gonna get taken advantage of no matter what you do, bud. You might as well just put it all out there. That's just me. I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to like give them everything, but you know, I don't believe in hiding who you are. You know, go full boil. If you're a boil, go full boil. You know, you'll find you'll find the right person. You know what I mean? To share takoyaki with. That's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference. Or anyway. Anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It would be nice to date somebody who was into stuff like that. At the same time, dating somebody is not at the top of my priority list right now. And that's, you know, I've got a lot going on in my life. I don't have a lot of space to dedicate to another person at this point in time where I would feel like I could give them everything that I wanted to give them. If it ended up happening and kind of developing organically, would be a lovely surprise, but it's not something I'm particularly on the hunt for. So that's me. That's just me, though. Men are very sensitive to peer pressure. I don't know. I'll be honest, a lot of the guys that are my friends and I hang out with, and I have a decent amount of them, they're all pretty like evolved dudes. Like they're great. Like they're some of the most wonderful men that I've ever met. Like my friend Sammy, my friend Click, Thrax, Javi, they're all pretty, and you know, of course, Zach, my younger brother, they're all pretty, I don't know. They're all wonderful to their partners and the people that they love. So I don't know. I don't have a good frame of reference. Evolved in like a, I want to say, emotional sense, as far as like they're not afraid to show their feelings or be honest about, or like talk about things that they want to talk about, you know. So I don't know. Like, the majority of my male friends are pretty cool. So I don't know. Sorry, I was taking a sip. You can beak hydrate. Just keep in mind he's not here. I forgot to mention, Beak's not here, but I will stretch. And I'm already drinking water, because you know me. It's basically all I drink. Hi, Chia. Oh, thank you so much. It's so lovely to see you, bud. Welcome in. A mermaid? Oh, my skirt. Yeah, I got this cute little mermaid looking skirt. It's so nice, right? My little skirt. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't associate. I don't have male friends really anymore that have like a lot of these issues. And the majority of them are like happily married. And oh, my friend Chris too. He's doing great. Eli's in a happy relationship and is a really cool individual. Like, I don't know. Danny. Danny's also a wonderful individual who has a good head on his shoulders. So is Andy. James. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I'm just... Oh, Ciro also. Yeah, I guess I'm just lucky. The guys I hang around with are just kind of chill. But yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, the women I hang out with are extra chill. We love chill men with good heads on their shoulders. You try your best to be one too. It's true. And you do a good job, Gia. I think you're cool. You seem cool. I think Shonen seems cool. I think a lot of people here said Kobrak is pretty cool. I know for a fact Kobrak is cool as hell. Because Kobrak is very good friends with my dear friend Fiona. So I know for a fact Kobrak is cool as hell. Alright. Anyway, I've yapped for like long enough. I think I've yapped for about 20 minutes here. Oh, Chia, thank you so much for taking the plunge. Let's go ahead. And I might mute every now and then because there are sirens. I need like a hotkey that says like, oh, I'm muted because there's a siren or something like that. Oh, not that one. This one. Here we are. Okay. Alright, here we go, chat. Okay, so as you see here, I have a list of names from people who have requested. Hold on, I gotta edit this because I got a request. So we're gonna add Harpy at the very end. Yippee! And as it goes, I will like remove the names and stuff like that. So that's what we're gonna do. Usually I do like a set of 4 cards. That's because it's usually like a problem thing, but I'm not looking to kind of like solve any problems here or like locate a problem. It's just kind of like a general thing. And so a good thing for people to know is that I don't do fortune telling. I don't do stuff like that. I like to use this stuff as providing insight or things that people may not have considered in the past or like are currently considering in a situation that they're in, and you know, maybe help them look at things from another perspective and stuff like that. You know, it's kind of just like realigning your perspective, you know, that kind of stuff. So I just, you know, if you're looking for I want to romantic and relationship, like the relationship you have with like your, like you have a relationship with everybody. It could be, you know, just like a co-working relationship, a colleague. It could be a parent, a relationship with your parents. Like, you know, like relationship is like a definite, it's like, it's basically like the personal connection between you and another person. That's what a relationship is, right? Relationship is not individually defined as like a romantic thing. A lot of people make it synonymous because it's like, oh, are you in a relationship? Stuff like that. But a relationship is basically a personal connection between 2 or more people, right? Like there's the familial relationship. There's, you know, a relationship between being a student and a teacher, like as a mentor position and stuff like that, or like a coach or something. Oh. You meant romantic? Wait, what? Lucy! Hi! Thank you so much for the raid. How are you doing? Were you having fun? Oh, I actually typed romantic. I actually typed relationship instead of romantic. That's my bad, Shonen. You didn't do anything wrong. Thank you for catching that. Hi! Hi, Lucy. Welcome in. Hi, everybody. I'm Hazard Seal. Lena Ko'uino. You can call me Lena. I play video games. I cry on stream. I yelp on stream. I shriek on stream. And I also do readings. And today I am doing relationship readings for people friendship. Basically, we'll pick between the two. I say family, but we'll go ahead and just do between the two, either a friendship reading or a romantic reading. And these are the people that have requested. The ones that have names according to card suits and like Ace, Queen, King, Jack, those are anonymous. Those have been requested to be anonymous. Yeah. So, hi, welcome in everybody. I'm so happy to have you. Please have a seat or whatever and stick around. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I hope your stream was great. What were you streaming? What were you playing? I'd love to hear. If you have to raid and run, I totally understand. I totally understand. But hi, it's nice to have you. So I'm going to be starting off with a reading for myself. Since I'm not trying to locate any problems, I'm just going to be doing 3 cards instead of the middle card. Well, actually, I should probably do a middle card anyway, because it does technically have a meaning. I use the symbol of Lokahi. Lokahi is, it's an important symbol of unity and balance in Hawaiian culture, which is my culture, because I'm Native Hawaiian. And so it does look like a Triforce. I'm just gonna be honest. You're playing Kingdom Hearts 2! Oh, I love that. I know people give Kingdom Hearts a lot of a bad rap, but I have a soft spot in my heart for Kingdom Hearts. Granted, I only ever played the PS versions. I think I tried playing some of the ones on like the DS and stuff like that, but I don't think I ever finished them. I think I was kind of like, I think I just got busy. I don't know. That's awesome. I hope you had a great time. I could still do the middle one, but so basically the 3 triangles represent like the natural world and the body and the spirit, the spiritual, like the physical world and the spiritual world and the natural world. So that is what it represents in Hawaiian culture. Is that all these things are connected, all these things need to be maintained in balance. It has its ups and downs, but you're diehard Disney white girls. You're having fun. That's all that matters. That's all that fucking matters, honestly. But yeah, so that is kind of the foundation of what these things are. I'm just gonna do the 3. We're gonna be doing some Triforce readings then. Because there's no heart of the problem here. We're just learning more about ourselves, right? We're just learning more about ourselves. So, you've heard me, I've been shuffling for like ages. So we're going to start off with myself. And... okay. Ooh. Interesting. Okay. So let's go ahead and get these up on the screen. Oh. Oh my god, why is that so big? What the fuck? Why? Why is the little box so big? What the hell? Hi? Alright, let's get the... What the hell? Alright. Why is the window like huge when I like go to edit the image? What the hell? That's never happened before. Hi, let's... Hold on. Oh my god. Why are you doing this to me? Smaller, please. Okay. Jesus. Alright. Left bottom. I don't know why it's doing that. That's okay. Interesting. And All right. So, what I pulled for myself is at the top we have Kuo. At the bottom left we have Koi, and at the bottom right we have Honu. So, let's kind of dig into that. Yeah? I hope you can see it. I hope it looks okay. I think the spacing is fine. I'm kind of squinting at it. It may look a little bit like the top one is like a little far up, but that's because there's supposed to be like a fourth one that goes in the middle sometimes. So maybe I'll just inch it down just a bit. That's fine. It's fine. I'm overthinking it. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god, there's a siren. Okay, there we go. It's really funny. I mean, I've done this before with you guys, and I still get a little bit like, whoo, in my heart sometimes. I get a little bit anxious and stuff because it still feels very like revealing, especially to do a reading for myself live on stream. Yeah, I am revealing. Well, we'll see how I feel about it. Last time I only did one at a time, and I think I'm gonna go back to that. I think I'm gonna go back to that. But we're just starting off, so we're just gonna see how it goes. All right, so friendship. So, Kuo-ai is, it's an atoll, basically, and it represents time, how time passes, how time affects a situation, and stuff like that. Then for Kai, that is the sea, or, you know, salt water, which is equated to the sea. Stuff like, you know, the ocean, you can see the islands of Hawaii, the main islands of Hawaii there in the ocean. And that is like, that represents like journey in general, you know, crossing a great distance and stuff like that to get to your destination. And Honu is a turtle, a sea turtle. And that represents how you've gone through a transformation and not to kind of sell yourself short, and how you deserve, you know, you deserve everything, not an imitation, right? So we'll kind of dig into this. Oh, thank you so much, Neo. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody. I'm sure I'm probably always gonna have the nerves. I'm sure that's just a reality. Anyway. So what I'm gathering here for myself is overarchingly the main thing that affects my friendships and the, you know, the physical and the metaphysical of those things is time. The fact that my friendship, it seems like it is indicating that my friendships surpass, or my friendships span a great amount of time. And it's true. I literally just talked about that. At the same time, it talks about not taking that time for granted, so that you have, you know, you're appreciating your friends while they are an island before, you know, they become an atoll, but also still appreciating the relationship even after it kind of maybe erodes away and stuff like that. So I'm getting the sense that my friendships last quite a long time, and to always remember to cherish my friends and care for them, and to never take them for granted. Funny, because that's literally something I just talked about. We've got the sea. So what I'm kind of seeing is that finding these friendships has taken a long time, and it's true. Even though they were friends that, like, I have my friend from, like, first... that wasn't without its troubles. Like, we fell out of touch. Like, I had to leave where... So, I had... Okay, as an example, my friend from the first grade, we lost touch when I was around, like, 10 years old, because I had to move. And I wasn't good at writing letters or anything like that. It was, you know, it was, I wasn't good at, like, keeping in touch via email or anything. You know, letters was a nice first thought because it was to help my handwriting because I was so young, both of us, and stuff like that. But we actually lost contact for quite a while. And so that was kind of a journey, and then it was kind of by happenstance that she found me again. And I was shocked, and I was so happy, and we picked up like no time had ever passed. But it was still a long journey. It was still a long period of time. So yeah, my relationships have taken a long time to kind of, it takes me a long time to find my people, and when I find them, we get along like a house on fire. But you know, you're going to go through all these many different types of people. You're going to go through a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, a lot of journey before you find your people. And like, it took me ages to find like Beak and Mari and Thrax and all those people as well. And I'm still meeting people now, and I'm like in my 30s, that I would consider my very dear friends, even though I've only known them now for like a couple of years. You know, it takes a while sometimes. But yeah. So as far as the Honu, so on the card you can see the little Honu has just hatched, and it's going towards the moon because, I don't know if you know this, but baby turtles, they follow the reflection of the moon on the water to lead them to the water. Hold on, Siren. That was a long one. So, and that's kind of a problem that leads to a lot of young sea turtles dying before they reach the water. It's kind of natural because, you know, when a turtle is heading to the water, they get picked off by other predators. But the other problem is that because of light pollution, light from nearby houses or street lights and stuff like that, sometimes they will just straight up kind of follow the wrong light and, you know, wander into a road or something like that, or they'll die because they can't find the water. And the energy I'm getting from this is telling me basically to not let myself be distracted by what I think is a connection, and to also not let myself to get taken care of, like to not let myself be taken for granted and not be taken care of, in the same token that I need to take care of the friends that I truly cherish and love, because I deserve the same amount of love and friendship that I put out. That's true. That's true. That's true. So that's what that's kind of what I got for myself there, if I'm being honest. It's interesting. It's really interesting considering that is stuff that I literally just talked about. I think that's kind of cool. I think that's kind of cool. If I'm gonna be so for real, I think that's kind of cool. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and put these away. And I'm gonna take myself. Why is the... Oh my god. The little text box is huge now when I go to... I don't know what's going on. Alright, let me take myself off this list. Okay. Alright. So next up is Heart. This person is anonymous. They asked for a romantic... Wait, no. Hold on. Hold on. No, they asked for a romantic reading. Oh my gosh. I thought so. I was like, why? I'm glad I caught that. I remembered because I was thinking to myself, oh, I'll give them heart because they're asking for a romantic reading. I thought that was really cute. Alright. So, again, I'm only looking for stuff. I'm not looking for like the negative, like things that are creating an obstacle or a barrier. I'm not looking for stuff like that. I'm trying to keep it really positive because everything right now is really, really negative, and I don't want anybody to go away from this feeling like they're doing something wrong. I just want them to go away from it feeling like there's something to look forward to, or, you know, something that they can better understand about themselves. So that's why I'm not doing a middle card today. Not that the middle card is like bad, it's just, you know, it's meant to identify that one like flew out. Hold on a second, I gotta get it. It like flew out and hit the ground. Sorry, when I get too far away from my from the thing, it kind of makes me huge. Sorry about that. Okay, interesting. Interesting. That makes sense for them. That makes sense. It's an interesting card to get. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Card shuffling ASMR, yeah. Alright, let's get these selected. Now it's popping up normal. That's so weird. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna go back to doing one card at a time. Because it's just easier. It's just better. So the first one that we've pulled for the top is lava, or Pele, which is lava, right? So lava represents destruction, but it also represents new life. The best thing for me to equate it to, if you're not familiar, is a sense of, it's like a combination of the Tower and the Death card in traditional tarot, if that makes sense. It's destruction, reinvention of the self, new foundation, new beginnings, you know, stuff like that. Because, you know, lava is like that. You know, it's scary, it's destructive, but it forms the earth on which we walk, and it's very important to have. That's why lava Pele is so sacred, right? Because without lava, you know, there's destruction, but without it we wouldn't have rich soil, we wouldn't have land on which to walk. It's just a fact of life. With destruction comes life. With life comes destruction. It's a cycle. And it all depends on where you are in the cycle, right? Because no matter what, even if you are at the destruction part, that means that better things are coming. Point blank period. New beginnings, fresh start. So this being a romantic reading kind of tells me that this individual is experiencing kind of a rebirth of their romantic self. Maybe something in their current relationship did not go as well as they thought it would, or there was somebody that they had feelings for and it just didn't pan out. And so they're kind of healing from that. Either way, it is an optimistic card because basically what it says is you've gone through this upheaval. Now you can move forward and start healing and recovering and making positive changes to prepare yourself for the future, for relationships that are to come. So we're going to move on to the next card, which is Niuhi. That's interesting. So, Niuhi is the man-eating shark. It kind of indicates that you need to proceed with caution. This doesn't mean that... I would argue that when I see this card, it's not one that's where it's like, oh, the shark is the threat. It's everything else that's around the shark that is the threat to me. That is usually the feeling I get from this card. I do think that in this one it is kind of like a both. I think it's kind of more like a double-edged sword here, where the man-eating shark can be a danger and things can also be a danger to it. So this individual may need to take into consideration to, even though they are coming off, you know, some upheaval in their romantic life, don't just act rashly. Don't. For some people, it's maybe better to wear your heart on your sleeve all the time. Maybe it's time to proceed with caution instead of just throwing yourself back into the water. And because you don't know what's there for the time being, and doing so quickly, I never recommend that in general. That's just like kind of common sense advice, right? If you have just had kind of a romantic upheaval, probably don't just dive back in. You know, it's just not good. It's just not healthy. And if I gotta be honest, it's not very nice to make people your rebound, especially if they're not aware of it, especially if they develop feelings for you and you're just like grieving the ending of another relationship. It's wonderful if you also develop feelings for them, but it's better to do that maybe in a place where you're not simultaneously grieving like the loss of somebody else, right? That's just, or like the immediate loss, if that makes sense. So that just feels like common sense advice. That doesn't really feel particularly remarkable, but maybe something that this person needs to keep in mind as they move forward. Okay, next card. Oh. What the hell? Oh, there it is. I was like, where is it? I can't read. So they have the Eva bird, which is the frigate bird. Frigate birds, you know, it takes action. Don't miss your chance. So it's kind of interesting that you're getting this. You have Pele, but then you have one card that says be cautious, and then you have another one that says to act or miss your chance. So you have the Eva bird diving on a flying fish, basically. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting combination. Two very different types of energies, and I find that really interesting. And this is also, I will also say that it kind of affects how the way I draw it and the way I'm reading it, the order I'm reading it, like it does affect that as well. If I had read it in a reverse direction, or if I didn't pull like Pele first or something like that, and put it, decide to go from top to left to right, that would also have, a different sort of connotation. So I'm going counterclockwise right now, so that's also affecting how this reading is being made. What I'm seeing though is to not let yourself get shut away. Don't just be cautious, but that doesn't mean to kind of cut yourself off from your feelings and your emotions. Let yourself go through this pain, let yourself experience it, or at least consider it, right? Consider letting yourself experience these things. Consider letting yourself move through this pain. Consider don't deny yourself opportunities to get out there, because you may find somebody, or you may become a more evolved version of yourself as a result. And you can do all those things while still being cautious. Don't just throw everything out there. This all just feels like kind of like common sense advice and stuff that which is kind of like how I treat this, right? It's not fortune telling. It's just kind of looking at things from a different perspective. And sometimes we tell ourselves, I know not to just go out there and hit the dating scene immediately. But then we do it anyway. You know what I mean? We do it anyway. And, it's like obvious stuff that we should know, we should be telling ourselves, and yet we don't do it. It's just part of it. So I find that really interesting. That's interesting. That's really interesting. So something new is coming. You have the opportunity to grow, to branch out, to experience new things, even in the midst of this upheaval. At the same time, don't deny yourself new experiences, but be cautious with your heart. It's basic common sense advice, way to think about it. Why is this music is not relaxing? What if I knew music? I thought it was just gonna be like starting area music. But I'm recognizing music from like... No, this is not relaxing. Well, this is fine. Actually, this was a good song. Sometimes you just need something to focus you on one idea. Supervillain layers, literally. Rather one course of action. Yeah, I agree with that. Alright, so let's move on to the next reading. Alright, Shonen, you're up, bud. Sorry about the sirens in the background. Dude, I would give anything to be able to, like, insulate sound away from that. But I'd have to, like, put double glazed windows in and stuff like that. Oh, interesting. That's an interesting card pull. Okay. I'm surprised that one jumped out. And I don't think I can put those in. I don't think I can put double glazing in to where I live. I think it would be complicated and difficult. Move my microphone a little bit closer to my... Oh, cool. Okay. Because when I have the microphone, I try to put the cards close to my microphone and I shuffle, but then when like a card pops out, sometimes it hits the floor. Hi, Tonkotsu. Yeah, we're doing more readings. I'm thinking of maybe doing them like once a month or something. Whoa. Like, oh. Rubbing the bottom of my nose, it was so itchy. Oh. There we go. Okay. Oh, sorry, I hit my mic. Blech. All right. Interesting. Okay, Shaman. Okay. Oh, not that one. That was my bad. I didn't need to make that visible yet. I accidentally double-clicked on the thing that makes it show instead of just double-clicking on the thing so that... Alright, there we go. Hey, Dick, how you doing? Welcome in. Aloha. How are you? I am doing relationship readings for people. Alright, Shonen. Here's something interesting. You got, for your top card, the Man-Eating Shark Nyuhi. Oh, okay, interesting. What this tells me is that you have been very, very, very cautious. You have been very cautious in approaching love. And that's not a negative thing. Again, that's not to say that this is a negative thing or a positive thing. It's just a statement. It seems like there's been a lot of caution surrounding your approach to love, to finding love and romantic love. And that's very fair. I'm the same way. You know what I mean? So, Oh, ad break's over. Welcome back, everybody. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of caution surrounding the approach to romantic love. And I think that's fair. I think that sometimes too much caution can not be a great thing. But sometimes it's what we need in order to get us safely to our destination. You know what I mean? Or to where we're meant to be. I'm seeing... Well, not I'm seeing. I have Pa'imalo. So, the Portuguese man of war, or the blue bottle. Which represents community and gratitude. And... in your hunt... You will... Okay. That's interesting. So, in your hunt for romance, you've been cautious. To find it, you will find it in a community. It looks like it'll bet it, you know, it might manifest itself or something like that. When you find a community of individuals that you feel safe in, that you feel heard in, that you feel seen in. It's not just going to be like some somebody just swimming around out there in the ocean. It's going to be somebody that is an established part of your community, somebody that maybe you've known, maybe not personally. This isn't me trying to be like, this is going to happen in the future. It's just, you know, maybe you have a community right now that exists, and there is somebody there that is able to facilitate romantic love for you. That's interesting. Let's look at the last one. So we have Makau, the hook. So this is like stability, steadfastness, and hope. Is the music too loud? Let me know if the music is too loud, because it got really loud for me, and I just want to make sure it's not too loud for you guys. So this is like all kind of awesome, if I'm going to be honest, right? You have been navigating the oceans with caution, and the individual, you may need to consider looking within the communities that you have currently curated to maybe find somebody that you can curate or cultivate a relationship with. Or maybe there is a community, if you put yourself out there in a specific community, you may find that person that you've been looking for. And that person will provide stability to your life. You will both probably provide stability, steadfastness for each other. You will both represent a better life for each other. So I think that's actually a very, very sweet reading. It's really nice. And these are, again, short readings. I'm not going like, making it only 3 cards really simplifies what we're reading and like the overarching message, so we're just gonna stick with that. Yeah, that's nice. That's kind of a nice reading. I'm into it. It's very hopeful. It's very, I don't know. It's really good. Alright. Oh, god damn, I keep bumping my mic. And I shouldn't be bumping my mic. There's like no reason for me to bump my mic. Alright, let's move on to this next person. King. Hold on, Siren. So again, this person is anonymous. Okay. Oh wow. I hit it right. I'm just gonna take that one. We have interesting. Okay. If it were 5 cards, would it make it a tall reading? Yeah. I might move into doing ones with like more cards, but not currently. Just because I tend to get like a lot of requests when I do this. And so like if I do too many, I'll have to take less, yeah? There. Yeah, of course you can get a reading. I just can't like make it anonymous. Because you're requesting now. But yeah, let me know if you would like a friendship reading or a romantic reading, and I will add you to the list. Does that sound good? Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. So for king, we have Kai. So this journey for love, romantic love, it has taken a long time. There have been probably a long journey, many hardships, many islands that you've landed at, but nothing which has lasted. Kaheka, which is tide pools, which are affected by the moon and the ebb and flow of the tide. Everything comes in waves. I tell people this all the time. You want me to do romantic? You like doing these for fun? Are you in a relationship? That's why you're just doing it for fun? Or are you not in a relationship? You don't have to tell me that. Is it? No, you don't have to tell me that. You don't have to tell me that. But yeah, so the tides, the tide pools, basically. Everything comes in waves. Everything. You know, from beginning to end, everything comes in waves. And that's how it is with life, you know, good news, bad news. We go through periods of our life. There's no such thing. The only constant is change, right? And that's the only thing that can really be counted on. There are periods of rest, periods of action. Right now, you may be in a period of rest where you are not actively looking for a romance, and I think that indicates that, you know, it's like, it's obvious, right? When you're not looking for love, or maybe it is, maybe consider letting yourself rest and stop looking for love, because then love can find you. You know, like they always say that, right? Once you stop looking for love, it finds you, stuff like that. You know, once you stop actively looking, your energy shifts. And I don't mean like on some like spiritual level, I just mean like people can kind of sense when you're, you know, I don't want to say, I'm not going to say that word. I'm not going to say that. People can kind of sense, how do I say this? When you are pushing really hard for a romantic relationship. But when you stop doing it, you just kind of have confidence in yourself. People can sense that too, and that's a lot more magnetic. People tend to find themselves drawn to that. So I wouldn't say that that's like, I don't think that's, you know, like a metaphysical spiritual energy vibe shift. I just think that, you know, it's like, again, common sense, which is if you stop looking, it will find you. So maybe let yourself rest, take a break from the hunt, and something will appear. And you'll be better for it, because then your life won't be, you know, revolving around it. And then for the last card, we have Va'a. So Va'a are the canoes, or canoe. It's canoe, singular. Va'a. Or Kava'a. If it was plural, it would be Nava'a. Va'aka Lua are the double-hulled canoes, which we used to, you know, cross the oceans. We still use, like, regular canoes to, you know, cross between certain amounts of distances, but the greater distances required, you know, double-hulled canoes and, like, whole crews and stuff like that. So this is probably... It's probably really scary to kind of give up control after you've been like journeying for so long and looking for this thing and hoping for this thing. Maybe you didn't even realize you were hoping for this thing to happen. And just kind of letting go and trusting that the tide will take you where you need to go. That can be really scary, but and unknown, because it's a lack of control. But at the same time, it's likely for the best. And then you will find your person at the end of that, which I think is just kind of, again, it's like a common sense thing, you know. Give it enough time and enough patience, anything can happen. Anything can manifest. I don't think it's anything, you know, like, a lot of people are like, you have to open your third eye and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know, if that's your jam, that's wonderful. I think... that maybe just looking at things from a different perspective instead of feeling like you're rushed or like you're on some kind of a timer. Maybe not even a timer, just feeling like maybe it'll never if it doesn't happen now, it might never happen, or just kind of giving up because it doesn't seem like a reality for you. And I think that's fair. But just kind of let things go. I think maybe don't worry so much about it. And if you're not worried about it, then great. Continue to rest. Continue to just let, if you're starting to already to like let that go, that's fabulous. And do so. You're on the right path. Oh, you're on the right journey. Damn. Maybe this is just an affirmation of you just being on the right journey. You are letting yourself rest and understanding that what finds you will find you. Holy damn. That's so cool. Oh, I can't type. Alright, there you are, Tonkotsu. You're up there. Okay, next up is Club. Okay. Let's pull these cards. I had one that like immediately jumped out when I started shuffling, so I'm gonna hold on to it. I tend to shuffle with my eyes closed. It's probably a bad idea. Cool. There's one. I hope you guys can hear the music. As long as I'm not dropping the cards, it's Sure. Where's that third card? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. Interesting. I'm getting further in the zone. Cap, thank you so much for the resub. Welcome in, bud. My nose is so itchy right now. I think it's because, like, spring is coming. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh. Maybe it's dust? I love Baladro. Yeah. Yeah, so people who want to be anonymous, I'm just assigning them names according to, like, suites and stuff. Or, like, cards in a deck. Alright, so the top card we have the Mo'o, which is, in shorthand here in Hawaii, it is, like, the gecko. In general, Mo'o are, like, the legends of dragons that we kind of like carried across the ocean and stuff like that. But basically it represents the gecko or some kind of reptile. Generally the gecko. Yeah. Well, it's just easier for me to do that for people, you know, just be like, you're this. So obviously one of the things we know about reptiles and stuff like that, or like the gecko, is that they shed their skin, they, you know, they molt, for lack of a better term, and they grow. They outgrow their skin, they outgrow the person that they are, and they become bigger and better, for lack of a better term, right? They kind of let go of their old self. This vulnerable, they become like, and they also like become vulnerable in this state, you know, while their skin is still, their new skin is still soft, but eventually that new skin softens and they become bigger, better, stronger, stuff like that. So for this individual, it does seem like there's a lot of baggage that is being hung up on. What is this music? I think it's like, there we go. Sorry for like the not very nice skipping sound. Wait, what is this one? What is this playlist? Oh, yeah. Perfect. We will do... We're going to do this one. Oh, I love this one. I love this one. All right. This is better. Okay. So you've outgrown your old self. It looks to be like there's a lot of baggage that needs to be let go of. There's something that you're hung up on. Maybe it's an issue with your self-image, or, you know, emotions that you have tied up in the past and you're not letting yourself move forward romantically, or you're holding on to the idea of what romance should be or what it should look like, or maybe what you even think you're owed. And so you can let go and still protect yourself. And, you know, and that may be something that you're holding on to. You may see like this baggage, this fear, this stuff that you're holding on to as something that is going to help you survive emotionally, and get you to where you need to be. But it doesn't look like that right now to me, personally. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. But that is what the sense I'm getting. We have Pele here, so we have lava. So again, rebirth, moving forward, progress, change, fresh start, new opportunity to let the destruction happen so that you can grow into being your better and higher self, and allow yourself, that version of yourself, to find somebody through that. You know, love yourself enough to let go of these things that have maybe hurt you in the past, that you're holding on to, that you think is protecting you, so that you can become bigger, better. I don't know what other things you may need to develop. Maybe it's kindness. Maybe maybe courage. Maybe self-esteem. But there's something that you need to let go of that is holding you back. Yeah. And thank you for the beak hydrate. Beak's not here, but I will sip. Hi, Sarah. Welcome in. Oh, it's okay. Welcome in. You're here now. I would have told you. I would have been like, oh, by the way, you're reading, and then this is where it is. So you're like third from the last. Thank you for the beak hydrate. Yeah, everybody has to hydrate. Beak's not here. Everybody has to hydrate. That's the rules. All right. So the final card we have for club is Makali'i. Makali'i is like, it's kind of part of the Pleiades constellation. It is an important constellation which helps guide Native Hawaiians across the ocean and stuff like that. It's very important. Aside from that, it also kind of signifies the beginning of Makahiki season and stuff like that. It's got a lot of sacred significance. But most importantly to note, it is like a series of guiding stars. So there is something... Right. So there's something that is holding you back. Well, it's not something. You are holding yourself back from growing, I'm seeing. And you need to let yourself grow and go through this process of, you know, destruction to rebirth yourself into a different type of individual, maybe in the form of therapy. Actually, probably, maybe. Maybe a therapist can help you work through that. And through doing that, you will find a light and a faith in yourself, your own constellation, to help get you to the person you need to be so that romantic love can find you. That's what I'm saying. You know, again, I'm telling you, like, this is all just, honestly, it's all just kind of like a lot of common sense stuff. Like, none of this stuff, none of this is special. It's really just stuff that people kind of forget to consider or have conversations with themselves about. It's usually like the majority of the stuff that I do. It's usually that, you know, if that makes any sense. Getting some water. That's right. All right. Now is up for Thrax. We're doing Thrax now. What? No. Actually, let's go ahead and just put this blank one in. Alright. Alright, Thrax. Hold on. Alright, sorry, I had to message somebody. Alright. Thrax requested a friendship reading. I love that. Oh. Interesting. You know, again, I usually only do these for, like, my friends. I don't usually... This is only the second time I've ever doing this in, like, kind of like a semi-public setting. And I find it really interesting. You know? But... Oh. It's been really cool, if I'm gonna be honest. It's been really cool. It's been really interesting to kind of develop that skill set. I don't know if it's a skill set. I don't know what the hell it is. Outside of just doing it privately for people, for like friends and family and stuff like that. Interesting. Okay, Thrax. One second. Alright, let's do the top card. Alright, top card. Ohiki, the ghost crab. So here we have a crab that is kind of holding a representative of its, you know, a crab egg, its own crab, you know, its own spawn in its claw right there. And I think we all, you know, everything become crab, right? Everything become crab. But basically the idea is, you know, crabs are kind of part of this food chain, and as most anything is. Let's just be honest. Okay, that's not anything special to say. Everything's part of the food chain. Crabs are part of a huge food chain, and they also, like, evolve through, like, as many sea creatures do, through different forms and bodies, for lack of a better term. But this is not so much about evolution. This is about what you fear can fuel you. Sort of energy. Evolution is rarely easy, but always beneficial, right? So, well, it is about evolution, but it's also mostly about the cycle of how everything is, right? So, hold on one second, please. Hold on just 1 second, real quick. Okay. So what I'm kind of getting from this is that your friend group has probably shifted and changed quite a lot over the years, and it can seem really scary to see where the shifts and the changes go, and sometimes it's really scary to let go of relationships that no longer serve you, but it might be necessary in order for those relationships to grow and become better, and to become friendships that can truly benefit you in the long run. Or maybe it's not even about just letting go. Maybe confronting aspects of certain friendships. It doesn't mean that you have to confront these people specifically, but kind of having a conversation with yourself about what these friendships bring to you and what is important to you and what you want out of a friendship. Because I think sometimes being afraid to confront the things that we actually want out of our friendships can be really scary, because then it feels like we're devaluing people, or, you know, we're not appreciating people the way that we should. But there are some relationships where we give more than we are getting back. And maybe this is a call to kind of reflect on, you know, sometimes it's scary to look closely at something. But when you take a chance to analyze something, you can realize that maybe it's not so scary, or maybe it's not so bad to have these differing levels of friendships and relationships. And maybe not everything has to reach like a very deep level in order to have a fulfilling aspect to it. You will change in these friendships, and your roles will change. Maybe you felt some friendships that have begun to change already, and that scares you because you're afraid to lose those friends because of how they've changed. I'm not sure in which ways that they might have changed, or, you know, but they will change and you will change, and you can't be afraid of that, because you've not done anything wrong. This is just the way of the world. See these people and these things and these situations for who they are, and that doesn't mean you have to think negatively about that. You don't have to hold it against them. You don't have to let it make you scared. Take that fear and let it change you a little bit, and understand that, you know, there is no such thing as a true constant. And things will be ultimately okay. Alright, let's do the next card. Next one is Papuhea, which is the doldrums. Hey, Drax. So, it looks like there is some kind of an obstacle that is blocking you right now. You can go through it. It'll take a lot of... You can try to cut through the doldrums. It'll take a lot of effort. It'll take a lot of manpower to do that heavy paddling, because there's no currents, there's no wind, there's nothing. You can go around, but it'll, you know, take a lot of time and, you know, to find the long way around. But that's okay, because there's more than one way to confront something. So I'm not sure if there is something in your friendships right now that you... Well, it does. It seems like there is like something that you are afraid of happening or changing, and that may be the main obstacle that needs to be quote unquote overcome. There's more than one way to do something, right? So don't think that you just have to do things in a specific way. And maybe you want to confront people. You could also have the option of avoiding them, like maybe not avoiding them, but kind of taking some time within yourself, having a conversation, and then kind of moving past it without the need for confrontation. Maybe you're somebody who, you know, thinks about confrontation a lot, but, you know, also consider that... Oh, wait. I have that backwards. Maybe you're somebody who prefers to kind of lean back a little bit, and maybe you need to consider confronting them. Maybe it's like, you know, it's either or. I completely lost track of what I was saying because I was thinking so hard about the doldrums. But the point is, I apologize, is that there's more than one way to go about navigating these friendships, these relationships that you have. There's more than one way to go about it. And it's going to be okay no matter what happens, because you have it in you to confront these things, to allow these things to change you, and to allow these things to change the nature of your relationships with these people, and to not be afraid of that. Does that make sense? And then the final card we have, Opa. So Opa is a fish. It's considered a very lucky fish. And that is what this card kind of indicates. You know, hard work pays off. It's luck. It's luck is preparedness meeting opportunity, right? So at the end of the day, all you need to know is it's going to be okay. These things that you are afraid of changing your friendships, your relationships, changing you. Maybe you're afraid you're going to become, you know, maybe you've let your guard down too much. Maybe you've put your guard up too much. And you have to kind of think about all these different ways that you are afraid to let these things change you. Maybe you're thinking about what you need to change about yourself to avoid something happening again in the future. Because maybe you're seeing something happen more often, or something is happening with your friendships that is scaring you, right? And so maybe you're thinking about things that you need to change about yourself. And it's okay to let these things change you, but don't worry about it. Let these things happen naturally. Think about them. Take a step back. Think about them in a broader sense. Think about the different options that you have and how to deal with it. And just allow the change to happen. Don't overthink the change too much. And know that everything is going to be okay. Because this reflection that you've done, the hard work that you've done, it's all going to benefit you. At the end of the day, it will, like, everything you've put into your friendships so far means that your friendships are not going to just up and disappear. If that's what you're afraid of, if you're afraid of your friendships disappearing because something changes, I'm not seeing that that's going to happen. I'm seeing that, like, because of what you've put into your friendships, you know, everything will be okay. You know, to love is to be changed, right? And that doesn't just refer to romantic love. It can, but it also refers to the love between our friends and our family. So, I don't know. I think I got a little bit lost in my own thoughts and my own rambles there, but I hope I was pretty coherent at the end of it. It's an interesting reading, for sure. Just, changes are happening. Don't be afraid of the change. And understand there are different ways to confront this change, or not confront it. Just there are different ways to deal with it. And also know that no matter what you do, everything's going to turn out okay. Don't be scared to let yourself change, and also, you know, understand that your relationships are safe and they're going to be okay. That's what I've got. Hopefully that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Hi, Wisteria Witch Lulu. Oh, I'm glad. The reading has been wildly profound from start to finish, Selena. Thank you. Insightful and reassuring. Already doing some of what you're saying already. Thank you for the reading. Yeah, for sure, bud. I got you. And Lulu, if you would like a reading, I can add you to the list. That is no problem. All right, we're moving on to Pepper, who requested a friendship reading. Yeah, I'm glad I left that middle one in there. Yeah, would you like a friendship reading or a romantic reading? Whoop. I don't know if that's the card. Friendship? Okay, you got it. Hold on, let me add that real quick before I forget, because I'm probably going to forget. Okay, we'll just say blue, and then we'll do friendship. There we go. Thank you so much for the follow, Lulu. Welcome in. Aloha. So happy to have you. I have another friend named Lulu, and they're very cool. Alright, let's get this going for Pepper. Oh! Wow. Interesting. That one, like, flew out of my hand. Oh. Come on, where are you? There. Okay. Come on. Oh. Okay. course you can, Neil. Of course you can. Here, let me get these cards lined up. All right. Let me get these cards set up, and then I will add you to the list. Would you like friendship or romance? Bale. Don't thank me yet. You gotta tell me what type of reading you want. Friendship. Okay, you got it. Okay. Yeah. Friendship. There you go, bud. Okay. So we're going to start off with the top one, which is Ekaha. Ekaha is a type of deep sea coral. Or we could just say it's a type of coral. We could just say coral because, you know, it's interesting. I don't want to get too deep in the paint and like the different types of, well, I guess I do. So these types of coral are kind of hard to get to. They're very special. And that says a lot about you in general, Pepper. Is you are a very special individual whose friendship is, you know, worth having and worth cherishing. It does also say that there is a lot of growth that is happening for you, probably in the friendship department. Maybe there are things about yourself that you are trying to improve, things that you are growing into and blossoming into. Facilitate that growth because, you know, encourage that growth. Do a lot of self-reflection, kind of look into yourself, and you will see only good results. You know, the cool thing about coral is that, you know, the way that they spawn is there are like different, you know, they kind of release their spawn into the ocean, and it kind of mixes in this beautiful sort of display. It's kind of fantastic. I know some people think be like, ugh, but I think it's really beautiful. And coral, of course, are a member of Cnidaria, so they're actually related to jellyfish, and they go through these different sort of evolutions or metamorphosis before they become, you know, before they kind of latch onto the, you know, some kind of reef or area where they can, you know, start growing and, you know, creating their calcified skeletons and creating these beautiful, intricate sort of designs with their own bodies. And it looks like you're kind of, that might even be it too, you're kind of growing into yourself right now, maybe in a physical sense, and developing maybe a symbiotic relationship with like what is around you, maybe your environment or the people around you, your community around you. So that's a possibility. So the next card we have is Pu'uho'okani. The Pu'uho'okani is basically like the conch shell that you blow to create a call, you know, to kind of, you know, like a harbinger, like you're calling other people to you or calling attention to something. So there's something that maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had with yourself. That's usually what I get from this card, is there's a conversation which needs to be had for yourself. Maybe there's something that you need to work on. It's either something you need to work on, or maybe there's something you've achieved and you're not feeling like it's being, that you've achieved and you haven't recognized it within yourself. But there's definitely some like self-improvement sort of thing that is going on, that maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had with yourself. Speak your truth, but also keep in mind that speaking the truth has consequences. That's what it says here. And I think that's a very fair thing. You know, when you call attention to something, you know, even if it's a positive thing that you're saying, you never know how, or a positive way that you're growing, you never know. Just think about all the different angles of these conversations and these ideals that you are trying to build up and nurture and grow into yourself. So you might need to be aware of the virtues that you might be choosing to embody when you approach friendships. And just be a little bit more mindful. That's what I'm getting. And the last one is Pa'imalo, which is, you know, it's community. It's the Portuguese man of war. Community, gratitude, working together, symbiotic relationship. People think it's a jellyfish, but it's not. It's a siphonophore. It is, so it's different from the coral, but not dissimilar, if that makes any sense. So it's kind of interesting that these two kind of came up together. Community, collaboration, gratitude. So your friendships are best found, your best friendships are found in a community of individuals, besides just seeking out individuals themselves to put everything that you have into. I've talked before about having these emotional boxes, which isn't like a thing that I came up with. I can't remember where I heard it from anymore. Maybe I've talked about it in the past, where you don't want to put all your emotional boxes into one person. You want to have a community and a support system of people to kind of put your hopes and, you know, expectations and different types of relationships in. Because if you put them all into one person, it's going to get really hard. So if you have somebody that you're kind of looking at putting all of it into, maybe consider spreading your needs around into your community, your support system. If you are afraid of relying on the support system, maybe that's the conversation you need to have with yourself, which is, you know, acknowledge the value that this community of people brings to your life and how important they are. And maybe you don't focus so hard on one type of individual, but focus on the community and also how you contribute to the community or the support system as yourself. And then that'll probably help you grow and blossom and develop even further. So that's what I got. That makes sense. I worry a lot about like not making sense when I do these things, because to me, when I reach the conclusion, I'm like, this makes complete sense to me, and then I'm like, no, I don't know. I hope that makes sense. But I mean, basically, you're at a point where you are growing into yourself, and maybe you were a late bloomer or something like that, and you're discovering who you really are. And as a result, you know, maybe your community is shifting. The people you surround yourself are shifting. So have a conversation with yourself about that community, and also make sure that you're not putting all of that friendship love into like one individual or only a few select people, and kind of spread it around and create like a support network that can help support. I said that already, but you know, can help you reach your fullest potential. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. I saw a meme recently, which is like, I don't ask like if you understand or if it makes sense because like I think you're stupid. It's because I think I'm incomprehensible. All right. So the next person up is Ace, and they have requested, I'm just going to be anonymous, and they have requested a romantic reading. Cool. Okay. Oh. Oh. Oh my gosh. Okay. You saw that meme? It's a good meme. Oh, we've been streaming for almost 2 hours. After I do this reading, I'm gonna take a quick 10-minute break and get a little bit more water and stretch, and then we'll be right back. God, time flies. I didn't even, God, 2 hours already. That's crazy. My gosh. Okay. All right. And this last one, okay. All right, so to start off with, we have, Kaheka, which is, the tides. Life cycles, ebb and flow. The rhythm of the ocean is dictated by things that are out of our control, but everything comes in waves, right? Everything has its high tide and its low tide. I think that there is where the other time we saw this, it kind of felt like, oh, this individual, at first I was like, are they not letting themselves rest? Or maybe they are letting themselves rest and everything else. But I'm saying, I think what this indicates in this position specifically is that there's not rest that's being happening. There's been like an over eagerness to find that romantic partner, and because of that, it's been sort of negatively impacting. Maybe you've been a little pushy, maybe you've been messaging, reaching out like a little bit too much to people. I mean, not that it's a problem. Oh, don't be afraid to reach out to people. Just to be clear, don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I always believe in shooting your shot, romantically or not. Like, if you're curious about something or somebody, just like, fuck it, send them an email. I think it's okay. As long as you don't pester them about it and you just accept that, like, their silence is not like a rejection of you. It's just more like, maybe a reflection of the space that they're in, or maybe they didn't get the message. It just kind of happens. Like, sometimes I can't tell you how many professional emails I've sent out to people, or like cold calls. I've just been like, hey, I heard that you do this thing. I'm interested in it. Would you be willing to talk to me more about it? And I don't hear back. Like, it happens all the time. Like, even for my professional work email and stuff like that. Sometimes I do hear back. And it's not an indication of like something I did wrong. You know what I mean? And it's not an indication of like something they're doing wrong. It just is a thing, and it's okay. It's perfectly okay, to sort of let things rest and let things be. And, don't be afraid to shoot your shot, but it looks like maybe you've been running at high tide a little bit much. And it's okay to let things kind of let yourself emotionally rest and let yourself not be so focused on this thing. Yeah? Alright, so the next card we have is Hahalua. Hahalua is the manta ray. So, very smart, very creative. Don't think about their own limitations, and instead, kind of look at what else they can do. Very, very like remarkable creatures and stuff like that. Don't let yourself get distracted by comparing yourself to other people or where other people are in their life path. Maybe you have a bunch of friends who are getting married right now. Maybe you have a bunch of people who are in relationships right now, and you're feeling like, when's that going to happen for me? When's that going to happen for me? Don't get distracted by that. Let yourself kind of rest and recalibrate and move at maybe a slower pace. It's not a mark of like a failure because you haven't, reached a certain milestone that society says we have to hit. Yes, I mean, I feel it too. Like, I feel it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in my 30s, and like, I'm not married. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have kids, and but I've accomplished a lot of other things that are just as important to me, right? And I've curated and cultivated a lot of friendships and relationships that are just as important to me as finding the quote unquote the one. You're smart, you're creative, you can have all the things that you want, but you need to let yourself rest, and don't be so focused on this thing, and don't try not to let yourself be so dictated by the movements of other people. All right, last card is Pele, right? You know, let this change happen. Let the destruction of like the self and the, you know, happen. Let this go. Like, let this chase go, and let yourself go back to low tide, and you will find what you are looking for, which is most important. Maybe it's in yourself, you know. Maybe there's a little bit of self-love that needs to be discovered there, and maybe there is somebody who's like been right under your nose the whole time that you just haven't quite paid attention to, or maybe it will just open you up to more opportunities to meet that special person. Either way, you have to let go of this hunt. You know what I mean? You know, you have to let yourself rest. You have to let your heart rest. You have to let your expectations rest, because you can get so fatigued by being like, oh my god, I'm the only person in my friend group who doesn't have, oh sorry, I hit my table, who doesn't have a relationship. I'm the only person in my friend group who isn't doing this, isn't doing that. Let yourself rest. Let yourself relax. Let yourself be at peace, and be okay with being alone. Because once you're okay with, once you're really like genuinely okay with being alone, again, and I think this is similar to another reading we had with somebody else, then it will find you. You know. Well, not so much the alone thing. This seems to be kind of like specific, because I'm getting the energy of like, there's a really, like, you're really focused on this thing. You're really focused on finding a romantic relationship. Whereas the other one was more needing to take a slightly, you know, it was a different approach. Anyway, so that's what I have for this individual. Thank you so much, Ace. All right, I'm gonna put these cards back in the deck, and then I'm going to take about a 10-minute break, which is great because ads are coming up. So we're gonna take a 10-minute break, and I'm going to stretch. I'm gonna get some more water, and I will be right back. Why is it so quiet? Is the music going? Oh, it is. Oh, the song was just changing. I was like, what the hell? I was like, what's happening? Oh, wrong one. Oh, wrong one. Okay. I'm back. I need to stretch. I'm so sorry. I can only sit for so long and I have to get up and move around. Or I have to like stretch my legs while I'm doing it, and I wasn't stretching my legs, I was focusing so much. So we're back. Thank you for being patient with me. I know it was a quick little, I think it was about 15 minutes? Maybe 10? It was between 10 and 15. I don't think it was the full 15. I think it was closer to like maybe 12 or 13. Oh, I gotta edit this. Oh, I never took the cards down. Thank you. Alright. Next up is Jack. Okay, let me message. Alright. Oh my god, I keep hitting my... Today is your leg day. Pray for you. I will. Oh my gosh. Good luck, bud. Alright. Alright, we're doing a friendship reading. This one has to be anonymous. So we're going to do an anonymous friendship reading. Alright. It's the same thing's happening as it did last time, where the further I get into my readings, like the more in the zone I am, and the faster it goes, which is all right. Come on now. Maybe I should switch to a different song. Let's switch to this. Ooh. Oh yeah. I've been kind of running away from the fact that I used to play World of Warcraft. And the truth of it, and I'll speak briefly on this just because I'm shuffling. Oh, finally a card popped out. What the hell? That took forever for the first card. But yeah, I played World of Warcraft for a very I played World of Warcraft since late vanilla. I don't anymore. And my relationship with World of Warcraft has been a little tumultuous, both socially and in a more literal sense. I ran into some problems because I just don't think I was my best self in certain circles, and additionally I don't think other people treated me very well. I think it was kind of complicated. And also I didn't like the direction that Blizzard was kind of going with a lot of things. There were a lot of things I took issue with that Blizzard started to do. And I'm also I found that the way they were handling their storytelling to be largely disrespectful to the people who played, or who like invested time in the story and the lore. I used to have like I still have like certain amounts of like lore that I can tap into because I used to be real deep in the paint on World of Warcraft lore. And there are a lot of things that came out recently where I'm like, well, you're just destroying all of the good things that you wrote. Or like you're destroying like a lot of things that like, but like it's been proving like there was like some former dev that came out and it was like, we don't really give a shit about continuity, we just do whatever we like, whatever seems cool. And it's like, that's deeply disrespectful to your own story and to the people who are invested in your stories. Like, I've never heard of any author doing that. Anyway, that's a unrelated rant. I will say this is Legion was a very cool expansion to play through. Anyway. No, it's not a fun thing to hear from the devs. It's not. And like they retcon stuff to the point where I got a lot of issues. I don't like how much stuff they retcon. I don't have a problem with retconning, but like it seems egregious at this point because like basically nothing matters at this point, right? Because like basically depending on how the wind blows, something just doesn't fucking matter no more. And also because I think that they don't understand a lot of the themes they're writing with, and I think I don't like how they write. I don't like how they handle all the writing. I'm just gonna say that. Starts off deep, it devolves into cool, such as with all fiction. Terry Pratchett begs to differ. Terry Pratchett, absolute goat from beginning to end. God bless him. Or, you know, if he's not a universe, bless him, whatever. You know what I mean? Terry Pratchett, fucking awesome writer. Well, Dragon, yeah, but you, like, it's not... Yeah? But like, did not happen to, like, Discworld. It did not happen, like, or, like, I'll even say, like, Wheel of Time? Mistborn? Like... I know it happens to, like, some games, but it's not an all-fiction type of deal. It's not, like, an all-fiction type of deal. It happens... such is the way with weak-ass authors. But after playing Diablo 2, you get it. It's not the same Blizzard of that time. It's not even about it being the same. I don't mind things changing. I don't mind, like, people's storytelling styles and stuff. They change. They grow. But the problem is that when the devs weren't even, like, talking about to each other, like, I can say, I'm getting way off topic here, but for example, the devs who developed Silvermoon weren't even fucking talking to each other, and became a well-known fucking inside joke that, like, Silvermoon was a fucking camel, which is like they all developed different sections of the city and then kind of shoved it together, you know what I mean? And, like, I don't know. I mean, that was Burning Crusade, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, Burning Crusade is when it started falling apart. I'm not going to say that, because, like, I think it started falling apart on... I guess I'll say Warlords of Draenor, and then they kind of figured some stuff out and straightened things out. Dragonflight was really good, and now I think it's just, like, gone to complete fucking shit. I'll be honest. I think that the writing, like, I think that I think before the lack of reverence was kind of chalked up to, like, maybe inexperience, maybe just trying new frontiers, and now the lack of irreverence is just because they don't give a shit. Anyway, that's just my personal feelings on it. And offense meant to any writers out there listening. Oops, sorry. But yeah. Silvermoon kind of became like a good example of, like, which they used themselves, like, don't do this again, which was good. They acknowledged it. That's the difference. But now when they, you know, fuck around with something, they're like, who fucking cares? And it's like, cool, excellent. I love that. Love that for me. Love that for us. Shadowlands is very iffy. I don't know, man. I don't want to talk. I'm getting way off topic. Yeah, so I'm exposing myself as a former World of Warcraft nerd. And there is a reason why I'm just not comfortable going back to that world yet. Which sucks, because it is, like, I've played it since late vanilla. So I played it longer than a lot of people. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Moving on! I don't want your damn lemons. What am I supposed to do with these? Yeah, literally. Oh, did I already pick? Oh, I did. Great. Did I do this one? Yes, okay. This is your no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to Final Fantasy XIV. Get out of here. I'll make that a stretch goal. How about that? I'll make it a stretch goal and I'll play it. I actually like MMOs and I probably enjoy it, but I'm not looking to get deep into an MMO right now. I also haven't played World of Warcraft in a few years now, so. Not surprising given who my siblings are. It's true. All right, Jack for friendship. Um, so we have Makao, the hook, hope, stability, steadfastness. Basically, uh, when you throw a hook, when you throw a line, and you have to pull, you have to pace yourself, especially when when you hook something big, right? You have to pace yourself. You can't just go all out. You kind of have to let things go, like let the lead go just a little bit before you keep pulling, before you keep reeling it in. So I'm getting kind of the sense that, like, maybe in friendship you need to be more aware of your needs and what do you need to hold on to and what do you need to kind of leave behind. But at the same time, in friendship, I think that you have this idea of, like, this aspirational idea of, like, what friendship should represent, or what it should mean to other people, and it's just not going to mean the same thing to other people. And this could go for, like, relationships as well. So know when your expectations are not aligning with what people can give you, and at the same time, don't be afraid to sort of walk away from those friendships that don't serve you, or those friendships that kind of have, don't feel hooked to individuals that may not just because you feel like somebody is all you have, like as a friend or something like that, or maybe there's like a friend group or something, doesn't mean that they're all you have. There's always more fish in the sea. Sometimes you can not invest so much, or you can kind of let them swim around you and until they become like a bigger, more evolved fish and stuff like that, and then you can kind of get closer to them again. But it's kind of the feeling I'm getting is there might be, some fish, some results that you're pulling up that are less than satisfactory, and it doesn't mean you have to, like, accept every fish that comes your way, or just because you're afraid of not eating again. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. The next one we have is Pa'oa. So Pa'oa is like a digging stick, but specifically it's a digging stick that was known to dig up like lava and fire, specifically like for Pelehonuamea, who is the goddess of lava. But it is also in its own right like a type of digging stick. And it's hard work. It's sometimes you'll hit bad luck when it comes to these fish, these people that you keep fishing up, that you're kind of sorting through to find those friendships and those connections that you really crave. But the hard work and of going through all of this will be worth it. The hard work of these people will be worth it. So with the last card, what that kind of tells me is maybe you like lost like some really important friendships or something, or maybe you lost a fish that you thought was like the one, and as a result, it's kind of made you start grabbing at like whatever you can because you're trying to sort of compensate for that loss. But it's that hard work of like going through all these individuals and kind of understanding like where they fit in your life and with you and with your personality and the type of person that you want to be, because that's also really important. Like, curating the people that you hang out with is a really important thing, and this is just like a standard common sense practice, which is it's okay to be friends with people, but there are going to be certain types of people that you want to have around more because they inform the type of person that you want to be. That isn't to say that you shouldn't have a diverse array of friends. You should absolutely have a diverse array of friends. Absolutely. That's very, very important. It is also important to have people that around you that help you become, like, for lack of a better term, your higher self. You know what I mean? You can't see me. I'm like doing gestures with my fingers. I did like a little quotation marks with my fingers when I said higher self. But yeah, like it looks like in your friendships there's been a lot of hard work and maybe a lot of like I would say loss or sort of like a lack of fulfillment, so you're just constantly throwing your line out and maybe it feels discouraging, but through that hard work you will find and like acknowledging, you know, that you are better off for letting some of these smaller fry go. You will be better off for it. You will find, maybe you have already found those truer friends, but maybe you're like, yeah, okay. So we have the mo'o, which is letting go of the past and moving forward. So you're holding on to, you know, that old skin. You're holding on to your old self, these old memories and stuff like that. Definitely, that's what I'm getting from this. And it's not letting you really move forward into embracing like the type of person that people that you want to be, like you want to help mold yourself and form yourself into the individual that you could be. Hold on, Sarah. Is it gone? Oh, it's gone. But yeah, that's definitely like the energy I'm getting from this. You know, let that grief go from whatever it was, and you will be able to find yourself better people to like surround yourself with. You know, I'm sure that there's like this pining and the sadness. Like I've had that too, where like I've lost friends and I'm like, I'm never gonna find a person like that again, or like I see something and I want it or whatever. But it's only in letting that go that I was able to find the remarkable people that I have today that are my beautiful friends. And you know, I've said this before, losing a friend or friendships can be worse than a breakup because it just feels so much more profound and heartbreaking, I think. Because I don't know, it's just a different element, right? To that grief, to that sadness. But you have to let go. You have to move on. You have to let yourself become your new self. You have to let go of that, you know, whatever it was that hurt you so much that is having you just hold on to like whatever comes your way. Because a lot of these friendships that you just kind of grab at just for the sake of having, they don't always serve you or help make you a better person. So sometimes there are people that are just like not nice, or they don't have values that align with yours, and it's okay. It's, again, very important to have diverse array of friends, even people who may not have the same values as you. At the end of the day, though, if you're putting all your, you know, boxes into the wrong types of people because you're just afraid of not having people anymore, then you're only going to do yourself a disservice. Anyway, I hope this makes sense, and I hope it helps you. But put this back. Put these back in. All right, who's up next? Another anonymous. Spade. They would like a romantic reading. Double check. Yeah. Okay. Hey Cadmium, how you doing? We're doing all right. What are you up to, bud? Are you doing okay? Welcome in. Okay. Oh, I didn't edit the reading list. Oh, there we go. Alright. I hope you're doing well, Cadmium. Good name, by the way. we've done quite a few readings at this point, so we're going to start running into repeat cards, so that's why I'm not explaining so many of them anymore. Doing alright. Working on a build in Minecraft felt like some chill vibes. Collection brand of cat names. Sean! Hi, Sean. How are you, bud? I hope you're doing well. Aloha. Oh. Wow. Okay, hold on. I'm only going to select one from this. Okay. Alright, last card. I mean, keep meaning to redo my stretch goals anyway, because... Oh, here's something funny. So I found out that apparently, like, reading from books and stuff like that, depending on the book, if it's not in, like, a certain, I want to say, like, copyright thing, like, you could get slapped with, like, copyright infringement. So if I read some legends from, like, books, I might get hit with that, even though they're, like, general legends that, like, I grew up with. Telling them from memory can be a little bit difficult. Because when I tell them from memory, I'm, like, hitting main points instead of, like, making it kind of like a beautiful visual thing. So I've kind of got to rethink that. Even though it is something I really wanted to do. I was just going to, like, throw the whole goal out and just do it anyway, but then I found that out and I was like, oh, okay, I gotta rethink this. Maybe I should look around a little bit. Yeah, it's a little unfortunate, so I gotta figure this one out. I gotta think about it a little bit. So I was thinking of redoing my stretch goals, my goals, my follower goals anyway, and doing like a week of Final Fantasy XIV might be really actually a good idea. Tired but living. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. I'm doing all right. How many more readings are in the queue? They are on the screen. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 9 left. How many have we done so far? Because I've been deleting the ones I've done. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've done 9. Okay. Alright. So we've done 9 and we've got 9 left. Okay, so let's get these up on... And... where is it? It is. Okay. So for this romantic reading, we have we have Paimalo, as we know. It is, community, Siphonophore. It's basically community. Surround yourself with people who love you and love you back. A gift and a responsibility. So for romance I'm seeing right now is you have approached it not as a focus, which is wonderful. Always the best approach. It is obviously something that you desire because you asked me for this reading. But you've surrounded yourself with people who love you, and it seems like even if you don't find somebody, you'll be okay. And it seems like you know that. So that's really good. So this next one is Kahika, which is, you know, the tide pools. Maybe there's a... You've been in a time of rest because you've been letting yourself kind of relax, not focus too hard on it. There's probably other stuff that's going on also. You know, tide pools are full of life, and even though they look really placid, they're most active at night. They're full of all kinds of creatures that come out to feed, to live. A lot of creatures couldn't live without tide pools because tide pools offer, you know, if a tide pool gets too hot, you know, if it doesn't get any like water from the waves and stuff like that, but it can't just be in like the ocean itself because the action of the waves would just, you know, be too much for the creatures that live there. They require like a very specific sort of environment to thrive. So it looks like, you know, maybe the tide pools are kind of like the ebb and the flow. You've been kind of hanging in the tides pretty solidly, surviving, building a community. Maybe you're not thriving, but you are surviving for the time being. And the last one we have is Maka, which is like obsidian. So obsidian comes from, is like it's a sharp amorphous rock. Glass-like comes from, you know, lava flows and stuff like that. It can be used as a tool. It can be used as a weapon. It seems like there's some kind of conflict, probably internal, or because we have two other cards that refer to community, maybe it has to do with a conflict with your environment. Maybe they're in your environment currently that you are living in. You know, you've made do, you've accepted it, you're living within it, within your means, and you are surviving within it, but maybe there's like a little bit of a resentment because you feel like the environment in which you live in currently is potentially holding you back from finding the romantic partner that you desire. You know, it looks like you have a healthy relationship, probably with multiple communities, but maybe it's your direct environment and how you live, which is you take issue with. And so what I can get from this is you have the ability to change your immediate environment. It's just up to you to take the first step. Like, your frustration is not a bad... Like, frustration and anger and being afraid and all these things, they're not bad emotions. They're part of us, right? You know, they help us sort through things, and it just matters how you execute them. Like, these tools that you use, these weapons that you have at your disposal, how are you utilizing them to kind of get you through this? And maybe this conflict, this frustration is something that you need to face and acknowledge, and you have the ability and you have the tools to kind of get through it, to make your situation better, so that, or to adjust your living environment or the way that, you know, the way things are surrounding you right now in order to find that partner that you desire. Thank you so much for taking the dive, Sean, and thank you so much for having a lurk. Aloha, so happy to have you. All right, so I hope that helped. I thought that was very interesting. It was going in a certain direction, and then I was like, oh no, this is like a completely different direction, actually. I think that's really cool. The direction in which you read these things and, you know, sort of see them with each other, it matters. Sometimes I it's like, well, maybe I should do the message all at once. You know what I mean? But I think sometimes one at a time shows like the evolution of like how things can change, and maybe realigning the way that we think about stuff. All right, next up we have Andy Andrethist, who has asked for a romantic reading. You got it, bud. no. Okay. Okay. I was shuffling them for quite a while just trying to get one, and then all of a sudden like 3 of them popped out all at once. I was like, okay, great. All right, so the first card we have is Puleleho, or like the storm. And it looks like you're kind of all over the place when it comes to romance. It kind of looks like either you don't know what you want, or you don't know how to... It looks like a combination of you don't know what you want, you don't know what, you know, where to look for it in the first place. And, you know, ultimately you don't know how to achieve this thing that I'm assuming that potentially you want, because you did ask for this reading. So there's a lot going on, and honestly, not knowing... Thinking about where to look for something before you even know what you want in a person, that's kind of something that probably needs to be worked through. The world can see a disarray, and everything can feel out of your control. You might also feel like there's a lack of control in your current situation that probably isn't copacetic, in your opinion, to having a romantic relationship. That could also be it. Hi, puppy. Oh, hold on, I want to pet my dog. Come here. Hi, baby. Hi. Hi. Oh, okay. All right. The next one is Eakaha, which is coral, a deep sea coral, as we know. Growth, blossoming. Maybe you're a late bloomer. Maybe you feel like you're behind on... This doesn't necessarily have to do with it, but because there's chaos and stuff like that, there is like growth, some kind of like a growth that is happening. So maybe you're a late bloomer, maybe you feel like you're behind on certain milestones. We saw that with another person's reading. And so maybe that's contributing to the storm where you feel like you have to catch up, or maybe there's this this pressure that you're feeling, like a pressure system of something that you're feeling. That feels like maybe like being single or something is not acceptable to you for some reason, and maybe looking for a partner is like partially pressurized because of other people's expectations of you, not just expectations of yourself. But also it must be that you do want a romantic relationship in some sense. It just seems like the storm is a lot of things: pressure from other people, pressure from yourself, and pressure from your current environment. Doggo, yeah. And we have Kaheka, the tide pools. And so, yeah, the ebb and flow of life cycles. How are you navigating these tides? How are you navigating the shift and the chaos and stuff like that, and the growth and everything that has that potential inside of you to find that romance that you're looking for? It's very much like you just got to ride this out. Ride it out. You know, go into your mind, focus on your own personal growth and development, and then the relationship that you desire, it'll come. You know, same as anything that, like, it's basically like saying to somebody, like, you know, again, don't focus so hard on what you don't have. Look at what you do have and nurture that. You know what I mean? So that's a pretty good read. I think that's a very optimistic reading. I'm sorry for if that is, you know, as far as the storm thing, I'm sorry that that's happening, but I hope that you are able to find that safe harbor and rest and recuperate and continue to nurture yourself so that you can, you know, so that you can understand what you want. And then once you understand what you want in somebody, then you can focus on, like, where to find that individual or who you want that individual to be. So I'm not saying somebody who's like quite ready for a romantic situation yet, and that's okay. All right, so this one is an anonymous romantic reading. Queen I tend to sit up straight because like it was really impressed upon me as a child is to have like really good posture. So I am actually sitting in my chair, but I'm sitting up straight, like up away from like I'm not like leaning back in my chair. I almost never lean back in my chair when I play games or anything. I'm usually always sitting up straight. Very rarely do I like shrimp or anything. It happens, but it's rare. Maybe it's also because I'm afraid of like messing up my spine because that was kind of like pushed into me at a young age. Young ladies always sit up straight. And I'll be honest, I'm all for like slouching if you want to and like screw that shit, but at the same time, I think everybody should sit up straight if they can. I kind of decided at some point that, yeah, I'm just gonna do it for myself. It's always, I feel like the shuffling and getting the cards takes the longest. Sometimes cards just don't want to fucking come out. Okay. We're just gonna split the deck, and I'm gonna pull this, and I'm gonna pull this. It's good I take rest, thank you. Let's see here. So this one is... Sorry if you hear people racing outside. And then this one is... there it is. Okay. So the top one we have Hahalua. Very intelligent, very creative, very capable individual. Somebody who doesn't look at their own limitations and looks at instead like what they can do. We've talked about this before. It also kind of indicates when it comes to romance, you kind of get distracted or by like the new or, you know, shiny and new. You may go from relationship to relationship, which, you know, there's the merits in feeling like you are capable of almost anything and not being afraid to try new things. But if you're going from relationship to relationship, sometimes you forget to focus on yourself and loving yourself first. And maybe you do have a healthy amount of self-love, but maybe there just needs to be a little bit of extra consideration or discretion considered when pursuing relationships at this time, or a romantic relationship. At that point where you're trying to sit straight hurts after a bit, you're not used to it. I don't think there's any wrong way of sitting up straight. It might just be that you're not used to it. But you'll get there. Alright, the next one is Pu'uho'okani, which is, you know, the conch shell. Something you need to pay attention to, something you need to, you know, understand about yourself that I guess that maybe hasn't been understood, which I think maybe kind of plays into like needing discretion when pursuing relationships. You know, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Again, I don't know anything about your personal situation, but the idea that, you know, the first one being like, this is somebody who's entirely capable and doesn't hesitate before jumping into new things, that kind of does give the energy of like maybe somebody who maybe goes from relationship to relationship a little bit too quickly. Which, you know, at the end of the day, if that's what makes you happy, that's what makes you happy, but sometimes that can hurt more people than it helps, including yourself. So, and then the last one we have is the He'emakoko, which is a type of octopus. So there's a lot underneath the surface. Maybe in pursuing these new relationships and individuals and romance, you're overlooking, like it's maybe going a little bit too fast and you're not learning as much about them as you should be beforehand, and maybe that's what leads to a lot of these relationships falling apart, because maybe you find out too late that maybe your values don't align, or maybe I see that I see this sometimes in people who tend to build up a physical relationship first, or like the relationship is purely built off of like lust instead of like genuine understanding. And don't get me wrong, a lot of beautiful relationships are built up off, you know, can start as a one night stand or just somebody's eyes meeting across the room, and you know that's after that it's that. But it seems like this might be a recurring pattern, and this might be something to kind of take into account. Maybe you need to have a conversation with yourself about why you move so quickly in these spaces, in these romantic spaces. And I think that's a conversation that you need to have. And that's what I've got. Kind of short reading. These readings are going pretty quick. Pretty quick. Pretty good. Some of these require like a little bit more interpretation, a little bit more thought. Oh, thank you so much for the stretch. Hold on. Oh. And some of them, it's like right off. It's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. This makes sense to me. Like I'm picking up what is being put down. Oh. Whoa. That one jumped out. All right, we're gonna edit the list. Okay, sorry. There was a siren and I need to take a sip. Hold on. Okay. All right. Okay. So we are up to Diamond, which is an anonymous romantic reading. And then after that, we've got all the people who have requested live. Although Harpy technically didn't, and Sierra didn't request live, they did request like at the, like right before stream started. Which is totally fine, by the way. Totally fine. Okay. Alright. So interesting. There it is. Okay. So the first card we have is Aokanai, which is the Riptide. We've talked about this before on a past stream. Which is, it feels like you're not being, like when you're in the Riptide, it feels calm, it feels placid, it feels safe, but before you know it, you've been taken out to sea. And it's very, very scary, and it's hard to get back from, and sometimes you can't. It's also interesting because the defining characteristic of a Riptide is it looks calm and safe, but it's surrounded by these big, frothy white waves that are crashing, but it's actually those white waves that are scarier, that are safest for you, than, you know, going the path of least resistance, because before you know it, like, a small thing has been, like, you think, you know, it's like a little small, it's like small movement maybe at first, but then before you know it, like, everything's been taken from you. So it seems to me like there is a situation, or maybe even an individual or individuals that are potentially taking you for granted quite a lot. Maybe this has already come to pass, and now you find yourself out at sea and you don't know what to do and you're floundering because you don't know who you can rely on. The best thing you can do is not, there are two ways to deal with a riptide. So the first way is you let the tide kind of finish carrying you. You can try to guide yourself to go parallel to the shoreline so that it doesn't spit you so far out to sea, but you don't want to burn too much energy. So you go parallel to the shoreline and try to get back once you get out of the riptide, or you can go parallel or something and like try to wait for somebody to come and see you. It's usually best to try to conserve your energy and, think about, it's best to conserve your energy than like fight too hard, because once you're in it, you're in it. You can't fight it, or else you'll use up all your energy and you'll die. That's how a lot of people tend to die in the ocean, is riptides. And so it's very possible that you're already in the riptide and something has already happened, something has already been taken from you, you've already been worn down, or something has happened maybe on top of your romantic life because you thought that taking the path of least resistance was like the smarter option, and sometimes it is, but in hindsight is 2020 is the other problem. But it seems the thing is that when you know how to look for a riptide, it's so obvious what they look like, and it's something that a lot of us are raised with here in Hawaii, where a lot of us are taught what to look for in the ocean so that that doesn't happen to us. So once you know what these things look like these red flags inside of people or situations look like, it's really, really obvious. But it's a hard lesson to learn if it's not something that you were taught, or like something that you were able to healthily develop, so that you can have those tools to fall back on. And so maybe it was a red flag that you saw and you decided to ignore, or maybe you just, it might be, I'm getting the feeling that it might have been a red flag that you decided to ignore. That's what I'm getting. So Papuhea, the doldrums, so you're out, so now there's no current. That's the opposite, right? Where riptide is all current, all power, and all chaos and all fear, and now you're in a place that has no current and no wind, but now you're stagnating, and you have this obstacle that you have to either get through or get around and look at from a different perspective. So hold on, Siren. Okay. So basically the things that are ahead of you, you need to look at it from a variety of different angles before just tackling it. I'm getting the sense that you probably shouldn't tackle it head on without giving it a lot of thought. You don't want to waste your energy. Again, you don't want to waste your energy trying to either take the long way around or pushing right on through. You've got to think about this carefully. I'm getting a lot of don't waste your energy, don't preserve your energy, and make sure to practice self-care. So we have Kua'au, which is like the atoll, and basically valuing time and appreciating it. And I think that's kind of like the main thing here, which is maybe you've had this theft, you've been pushed out to sea, and you're impatient to get through it, but you have to just take time and trust that the time that you take to analyze the situation, to reflect, to get through it, that's what's going to get you back to shore. Make sure you're not giving too much of yourself to any situation or person outside of yourself. So what I'm getting from this is that need a really big need to practice self-care and self-awareness, and to maybe not ignore those red flags for short-term gains in the future. No problem, Andy. Thank you so much for being here. All right, we're gonna do Zero, we're coming up on the end. We're just past 3 hours. Oh my gosh, we did a lot of readings today. I accidentally did the wrong one. That needs to go back up. I'm probably not going to do this many readings again. This is 18 readings. That's a lot. Alright, Zero. Now you wanted a friendship reading. Let's do that. Let's do it. It's a lot less second guessing now that I'm in the zone. Only took me, oh my gosh. That's kind of why I did my reading first, so that I could like get that awkward feeling out of the way. Oh. Okay. Oh, I don't like this. No, we're gonna switch. I know exactly the song that was about to play and I'm not into it. It's a song that like stresses me out, would stress me out when I would fly into that area. Wait, you know what? Let's play, how about this? This one. I love this song. The card ASMR is bliss. Welcome back, Vinny Namai. Welcome back from your lurk. Oh. I should talk more about like the theming that I have, because I actually really like a lot more like fantasy and nature-based themes. I know that I present myself in like a very like sci-fi sort of like energy, almost cyberpunky. But the truth is that I do like all of these different things, but it feels a little bit more empowering to me to engage in like indigenous futurism. And that's kind of like a separate thing. But I do very much like fantasy motifs and stuff like that. Okay. All right. Used to give him fairy tale vibes? Yeah. Oh, you're just a workout? Hell yeah. Welcome back. Alright. We're coming up on the last few readings. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so your first card about your friendship reading, Zero, is the Mo'o. So it looks like, as far as friendships go, maybe there are some friends that you've outgrown, or maybe you feel like you're kind of evolving past them, and that happens. That's really normal. I did that. That it happens all the time. It's a little bit painful sometimes to sort of acknowledge that change is happening, but we do outgrow our friends sometimes. It doesn't mean they can't still stay our friends at all, just to clarify. But understanding that the relationship is not the same, and it doesn't need to be the same, and you may find other people that are more compatible with you. That's kind of what I'm seeing. Next card is the Eva, the frigate bird. So maybe this looks like it's something that you've kind of been avoiding confronting about yourself, or like a friendship or something like that. And then, again, I've said this before, it doesn't mean that you need to actively confront these people. It doesn't mean you need to be like, hey, we gotta talk. That's not a situation. But it does mean that it does maybe need to be like, maybe there needs to be an active effort to take a little bit of space so that you can assess the friendship for what it is and see if you truly have outgrown these individuals or not. Okay, so we have Kukui, the lantern. So Kukui, just to clarify, is not like the term for lantern. It's like it's basically like kukui nuts come from the kukui nut tree. They're symbols of enlightenment, and additionally, when you stack them on top of one another and you can light them, they're called the candle nut. So you can use it as a lantern, as a light. We gotta talk. Do you like jazz? Hey, do you like jazz? So, I think in taking this time, I think that maybe you've been a little bit inactive in like reassessing some of your friendships, which you obviously need to do. You need to be more active in assessing those friendships and the people that maybe you are surrounding yourself with, because maybe they're not that beneficial to your overall growth. And take the time to process your interactions with them and see what you can illuminate. Like, introspect a little bit, think about them a little bit, allow the light to shine through so that maybe you can see the type of individuals that they really are. Maybe the signs were all there, but you weren't really seeing it because you weren't letting yourself take a step back. At the same time, it doesn't mean that you need to fixate on, like, don't just stare at the flame. Like, if you discover something that maybe lets you down, or maybe is disappointing, or maybe is like exciting to you and you feel like, oh, maybe this is a really good thing, don't make that the whole focus of your relationship with that person or these people or the community or whatever that you find yourself in. Just kind of acknowledge it. I think that it's worth considering acknowledging. Of course, if you're in a situation where you feel like these individuals are just not benefiting you, it is often sometimes better to walk away. But I'm never somebody who says that you should just go carte blanche and like start cutting people off, because I don't think that's beneficial or healthy. I think having long conversations with yourself and thinking about these things, but at the very least, you need to take action in actually having these conversations with yourself. You need to kind of commit to maybe loving yourself a little bit more and surrounding yourself in people that give you the love that you deserve so that you can grow. Let's see here. Okay. By the way, this list thing, oh my god, it's the smartest thing I've ever done. Because I know last time some people were like kind of skipping around and it was a little bit confusing, and that's my bad, and I'm very, very sorry. Alright, up next, it's Harpy. Harpy requested, you might hear some kids yelling outside playing, it's fine. Harpy requested a romance reading, so we're gonna do that for Harpy. We're gonna do that for Harpy. Because we love Harpy. We love Harpy. This is a long stream. I haven't done like a stream this long in a long time. But again, I don't think I'll be able to take as many. Next time I might have to limit how many people I take. So I've done 18. And I think these last, I want to say 10, I've been getting through pretty efficiently. Some of them require a little bit more thought. If you would like to request a reading, I'm happy to fit you in at the end. And I'll keep, like, I'm happy to keep going. That's interesting. Interesting to get that card again. I've done 18, yeah. I was taking a long time at the beginning because I'm always like, I always have like a little bit of nerves in the beginning. You have been read. I always have a little bit of nerves in the beginning. Come on now. Whoa, okay. I'm gonna take one from these. I'm gonna take two. Hold on a second. Okay, we're good. This one. I need one more card. You don't want to text my voice. It's okay. Oh, oh. Okay, that one jumped out. Perfect. Okay. Would you like a friendship reading or a romantic reading? Okay, so this one actually stays the same. Interesting. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes the same cards get drawn in the same position. That doesn't mean they mean the same thing, though. Okay. So once again, at the top, for Harpy, for romance, we have this, we have Mo'o, which is letting go of the past, rebirth, and moving forward. So you've outgrown something, or maybe you haven't outgrown something, maybe something has... Maybe there is something when it comes to romance as far as you that has kind of helped you grow a little bit, and now you need to kind of come into this new skin which you have. I think you know, it's a very vulnerable time to come into this new skin, so it might be, again, a very vulnerable time for you. We've said that in the past reading or so. We'll know a little bit more when we get to the next card. So Pule Leho, we've seen this before. It's the storm, chaos, an unsettled mind or situation. So when it comes to romance, there's a lot going on for you. There's a lot of stuff going on in your head. There's, you know, a lot of conflicting emotions, probably a lot of frustration, maybe even anger. I don't want to say like directed at an individual or any type of, or like any one person, or maybe individuals. It could be your environment. It could be a lot of other things. But in conjunction with the Mo'o, needing to move forward moving forward can be difficult when everything is in such turmoil, right? It's really hard. At the same time, when you're in the middle of the storm, that's when when you get to the eye or when lightning strikes, that's when you can find some kind of clarity or inspiration, right? So moving through this difficulty is a necessity, and it probably feels like, as it says here in the Mo'o, it can feel difficult to leave the past behind. It can feel like cutting off a limb, but it isn't. It's letting go of that which you have outgrown. Be kind to yourself. So protect and value the most vulnerable parts of yourself. I'm getting the feeling that you are in the middle of a storm. You are feeling very vulnerable. You've tried to shed your skin to grow, but in this vulnerable moment, you're weathering this storm, and it's making it really hard on you. And this is going to sort of, and when it comes to romance, it's probably making it really hard on you, especially if you're feeling like that yearning or that longing for romance. Only assume which, you know, I shouldn't assume, but only because like the romantic reading was requested. So it is kind of the feeling that the romance is desired, it is longed for, it is wanted. And then the final one you have is Pele, which is through this destruction will come new life, a fresh start, new opportunities, new beginnings. You will find that person that you are meant to be with. And I know it's kind of a cliche and not very much fun to be like it's necessary to go through all this hardship to find like the beauty, or to like grow, like the growing pains of all of that. It is what I'm seeing here. It may also be that in the storm, in this chaos, is where you will find your person. So they may end up erupting from the earth and just presenting themselves to you. Which maybe is something that you need, instead of you always having to present yourself to other people. Maybe there's somebody who is getting ready like a volcano to erupt in the middle of your storm and say, I'm here, and I've been waiting for you. So that's what I'm seeing. And I hope that's helpful, and I hope that makes sense. And thank you so much for requesting a reading. I'm always happy to do readings for my friends. Bye, Sean. Thank you so much for stopping by. Okay, Cadmium, you want a romantic one? You got it, bud. Wow, are we gonna make it to like 20? Okay, sorry, there was a siren. Oh. That one jumped out. We're seeing some cards more than others. It's interesting. Ooh. Okay. Alright, Tonkatsu. There you go, bud. Oh, thank you so much for the stretch. Hold on. All right. There we go. Okay. So the top card we have, Pa'ima Lau. Again, community, support, a gift. It seems like you have a pretty good support system. We've seen this before with people. A pretty solid support system. Remembering that you're not alone. And thinking about your most positive relationships. What are you truly deeply grateful for? And recognizing the impact in your life. How are you, the people that you work together with, the people that you really can't live without? It's important to have those in the front of your mind, and it seems that you have a good support system, so we'll see where that goes. That's you! So here we have umeke. So the umeke is like a calabash, it's like a gourd that's used to carry water, and carry other things, but it's mostly water. Um, and it's important to be mindful of where you put your energy, your fresh water, right? Because, you know, you're not going to carry salt water, you're going to carry fresh water, voi, which is life-giving. Also, I'm sorry if you hear people racing outside. It's important to know where you're putting your energy, right? So on the one side here on the card, we have like a koa tree. On the other side, we have kiave, which is an invasive plant. And kiave sucks up all the water, and it's a drought plant, but it's not suited here. It's an invasive plant here, and it sucks up water and endangers, you know, the plant life of endemic species here and other species here that don't behave in that way. So you have to make sure that you're not giving up too much of your energy and filling, you know, filling the cups of people who in your hive or like in your community, in your pa'imalal. Make sure you're not giving too much of yourself. And make sure that you... Maybe there's somebody... When it comes to romance, you may find yourself in a situation where somebody that you are in love with may have presented themselves from a community that you're part of, and somebody that you truly love and cherish, but they may be taking you for granted, and they may not be... You may be giving them... expending your energy in a way that is not beneficial both to you, like, and ultimately to them, because it's not taking care of yourself. And the last one we have is Honu, which we've seen before in this position, which is there's a transformation, a metamorphosis. You may be chasing the investment of an illusion, but you don't deserve an illusion. You deserve the real, like, you deserve the moon, right? You deserve a real, the true light of the moon, you know, not like a street light that'll like lure you out to your death in the middle of a road. Hold on, there's a siren. Okay, sorry about that. It is Friday. Sirens tend to go really crazy on Fridays because people get up to trouble. But yeah, so what I'm getting from this is, as far as romance goes, I think one of the things that may be holding you back from finding romance is putting your energy into the wrong things and into the wrong individuals, and ultimately not taking care of yourself. Because when you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to attract a partner that, you know, unless you're, you know, some people, don't get me wrong, now you know what, some people are into that. Some people want to take care of people, some people want to fix people. If you don't want to be, if you're into that, if you want to be fixed, you know what I mean, if that's your deal, like, that's your kuleana. But I'm getting the feeling that that's not ideal in this situation, which is, you deserve somebody who like truly loves you for who you are. You deserve somebody who is not like an imitation. You deserve the moon. You deserve somebody who is worth you pouring yourself into and gives back to you in the way that a community does, and supports you in the way that a community does, instead of somebody who just like takes and takes and takes. So what I'm getting ultimately from all three of these cards together is, be mindful of the people you surround yourself with, the people you put your energy into. Take care of yourself so that you can kind of attract the right person for you. And when you start venturing deeper into romantic relationships, remember to, you know, remember that you can't... It is not just you who is their community. They also need to be your community. You both need to support each other. And don't take anything less than that. That's what I'm getting. I hope that helps. You deserve the moon. Sounds like something wholesome or even cute to tell something. Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of a common saying, isn't it? Like, or I'd bring you the moon or something, I think is or something. And there's also like, I love you to the moon and back, and I think you hung the moon. There's a lot of sayings with moons. I'm glad you liked it. Alright, we're up to Lulu, who wants a friendship reading. Alright. Your favorite WoW track. It's a good one. All right. Let's... Okay. Ooh, kind of intense. All right. Where is it? There it is. And then it's the... There it is. Bring it on. Okay. So the the top card we have is Maka, again, which is obsidian, comes from lava, very sharp, can be brittle, but very good for tools, but also can be a very dangerous sort of weapon. So kind of like a double. It's you know, it can be double-edged in many ways. So when it comes to friendship, it seems like there's potentially some kind of a conflict. Maybe you find yourself at odds with something. It doesn't have to be like an aggressive conflict, but it may be something that both benefits the relationship that you have with these people or individuals or single person. Maybe it's like one person that you're feeling like you have you're frustrated with. Don't be afraid of the negative emotions, because they're not necessarily, like, negative emotions are not, again, bad emotions. They are valid emotions. And if you are frustrated with somebody, if you are frustrated with, or maybe a group of individuals, or maybe an environment that surrounds your friendship, with these people, it's okay to let yourself feel these things, but also understand that processing these emotions is really important. Understand where these feelings are coming from, and once you understand where the feelings are coming from, then you can find a solution, is what I'm getting, but we'll see more. Alright, Tonkatsu. I'm so glad. I hope you feel better. Aloha. All my love to you, bud. Alright, the next one we have is Makali'i. Awesome card. As we know, it is the Pleiades, which or part of the Pleiades, which signals the arrival of Makahiki time, which is a time of peace. It is the ending of Ku, which is interesting because it came after Maka, which can be seen as kind of like a little bit of an aggressive card, but because Makali'i represents, a lot like Makahiki time, which is a time of peace when no war can be made, it definitely indicates that like the solution is peaceful. It just needs a little bit of self-reflection and understanding, and it may not be like rage, it may not be like anger, it may just be like frustration, maybe with yourself, maybe with somebody else, maybe with a situation that you find your friendships in. But in saying that, there is a time of peace. It calls for a peace, to think about it, to not, you have the tools to get through it. Consider approaching it in a non-confrontational way, and understand that you have the light inside of yourself to guide you, right? To guide you through these rocky times. Because and that's another thing, a lot of friends fight. God knows, I fight with my friends and we have disagreements and ways that we disappoint each other. But it's by getting through these things and talking them out and processing them that we become stronger and better. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't like to have these deep conversations with their friends. They don't like to confront certain things, even it's something minor. And it may not even be a big thing that has popped up for you. It could literally just be something that's kind of minor. It could be something bigger. But a lot of people just don't want it. They just kind of want to ignore it, and then it passes over, and maybe they get over it. But sometimes it's getting through those disagreements that makes you feel truly understood and seen, and is what makes a friendship stronger. And the final card we have is Pa'oa, which is, the hard work of creation. So the path is going to be the path is difficult. Maybe not that hard, but it is like maybe less than ideal, but it's going to be worth it to take this peaceful path, to trust the light inside of yourself, maybe to find some sort of different approach, maybe some kind of, but you have the strength, you have the knowledge, you have the tools as shown by Maka, and you've got two tools here. You've got Maka, the obsidian that can be used as like a tool or a weapon, and then you've got Pa'oa, which is a digging stick and stuff like that, which can literally help you manifest, the lava, which will kind of cleave through the destruction. It will give life to Pele and lava, which you can continue to use as a stronger foundation for your friendship. So I'm hoping it's not like a very deep conflict, but it may be a conflict, and it may be a conflict that you kind of have to work out for yourself. Maybe there's something that's been bothering you, and you may literally you may not need to directly confront this person or these individuals or whatever it is. You may not have to go to them and be like, hey, it's just kind of like, but just know, however you decide to handle it, you have the tools to get through it, and it will be okay. It will it might take blood, sweat, and tears, but you can look it in the eyes and you can embrace it. And maybe there's a slight fear of being afraid to start because you don't think you're ready to maybe address these things. And friendship can come in many forms. It's not just we have friendships not just with our friends, but our colleagues, with our family members and stuff like that. So it could be kind of broad, but if there's a relationship that really speaks to you through this, then that might be what it's for. Oh, it's hitting home. You very much see a message of standing up for your true self, but doing so through peaceful and loving means, which you haven't explored a lot as a person who feels a lot of anger, ties into more recent friend breakups too, and the build-up afterwards. Yeah, I've been there. You have the tools to get through. Yep, it will be okay. You have the tools. Sometimes, I've been through that. Sometimes friend breakups, they're not even all that dramatic. It's just kind of like a quiet, death. And it's very sad. I know that, or sometimes it's really dramatic. And it's a whole fucking thing. Been there, both versions. I'm glad it made sense. I'm glad it could have helped you. Okay, Neo, you're up. A little bit of both. I feel that. I see that. I might round this out with a final reading. Maybe I started off with if somebody doesn't request a 20th, I'm going to take only one more. If somebody wants a reading, I'm going to take one more. But if they don't, by the time I hit cadmiums, I'm just going to go ahead and I'll round it out to a nice 20, and I'll do another reading for myself with about romance or something. But we'll see if somebody messages me. All right. Neo, friendship. Cadmium, you've gone through the quiet death of friendships a number of times. Yeah, it happens. It's really hard. It's really hard. I'm not looking for... If I do the romantic reading for myself, I know it's gonna read me to filth. I just know it, dude. That's why I did friendship. I was like, I can't take it right now, man. But we'll do it. We'll do it for the memes. For the content, quote unquote. Oh, this card is coming up so much. Interesting. And it's not like bent or anything. It's not like. Whoa. Hold on a second. Okay, interesting. That's interesting. Everyone, hydrate if you need. I am. For the culture, as they say. Okay. Alright, Neo. Friendship. Okay, sorry, there was a sign. The worst part is looking at the people who used to be your friends and going, you are not the person I became friends with anymore, and I don't know what to think about the person you are now. Yeah. Yes. And I'm sure people, I felt that way about people, and I'm sure that people have felt that way about me. It is just the unfortunate nature of growth and change. Yeah. All right. Neo, for your friendship reading. Top card, Puleleho the Storm. Chaos. Either in your friendships or in your environment, or maybe this is something you're coming out of and there's a storm that is currently passing or changing. Rain that waters your fields. Lightning that sparks inspiration. Even though it feels out of your control, there is still the eye of the storm, which gives us reprieve, and then of course and the destruction that comes with it. It's very similar to Pele and lava. There is destruction, but there's also fresh water. There's life that can come. So let's look at the other ones. So this next one, again, has come up a lot. Po'imalo. It's really encouraging actually that we're seeing this card come up, because it does represent community. So that's kind of like positive to see, even if like it doesn't seem like it contributes in a positive way to like a reading that you've had from me. It is still, you know, the representation of community is still really important, you know, and to know that that is obviously present in your lives, that's really good. That's really good to hold on to. So maybe in this storm, you have been, again, community is a gift and a responsibility. It's a kuleana, right? It's an obligation that you are proud to have, proud to carry forward and care for and take care of. You're not alone in this thing. So in this storm that maybe there's something in your environment that feels out of your control. You're not alone. You have people who love you. You have people who don't take you for granted, and you obviously don't take them for granted, or maybe you should remember to not take them for granted, and that's really good. At the same time, if there is somebody who takes you for granted, maybe throw them out in the storm. I'm kidding. It's really the energy I'm getting is you might be on the tail end of the storm or something, but you are being carried through by the people who love you, the people you've put your emotional boxes into, and that's really good to see in your friendships. It seems like there's like a steadfast, reliable, reliability. So let's look at the last one. Last card. Last card is E Kaha, which is the deep sea coral. So growth, blossoming, development. What comes after a storm? Water. What do plants need? Water. You know what I mean? Sometimes things get washed away, but, well, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made that comparison. Coral is not a plant. And when I said growth, my brain just went immediately to, and like blossom. That went to like plant. Hold on a second. Coral is not a plant. It's very much an animal. But I will say that even in these storms, sometimes it brings nutrients to the reefs and stuff like that. Sometimes it can wash away certain aspects or like cover reefs and silt and stuff like that. But there is still in the Ikaha, we see survival, we see growth, we see blossoming and development. So I'm not seeing something. I'm seeing something really right now that is just kind of like, it's been a difficult time for you, but you have people that are carrying you through, and that you will continue to build your community, you know, your little floating city. You will continue to build your support system to be larger and greater and even better. And in doing so, you yourself will grow, you will create new calcified branches, it will enable you to become the individual that you have always wanted to be. So that's what I see for you, Neo, as far as friendship. Really nice, honestly. That's a very nice reading, I will say. That made me, that's very, like, to have basically, like, you know, evidence of like a support system and people who love you and care for you, or to know that there is that support system that is coming. Even if you feel lost in the storm, that there are going to be people that will find you in this storm. It's very reassuring. It's very reassuring. Alright, we're up to Cadmium. And we're doing a romantic reading. Whoops. Here we go. I'm glad it is, Neo. I'm glad it's heartening to hear. Okay. Alright, Cadmium. Alright. I don't think I'm ever going to do this many readings ever again. I know I've said that before. Oops, I bumped my mic. But, oh my gosh. But I don't think I can handle. But I'm doing fine right now because I took a break, so I do appreciate it. Thank you for letting me take. I mean, not that I mean, it's been fun hanging with you guys. You know what I mean? Like, I've been having a good time. And I feel like I'm getting better. I mean, I've always been, like, fine at this, but I feel like I'm getting better at articulating it. You know. Or, like, getting over my nerves so much. You know what I mean? Okay. Alright. Interesting. Alright. Okay, and then we have this one, and then we have... There it is. Okay. Alright, so the first card we have for romance is the Lantern. Or the Kukui. And, or the, you know, the candle nut lantern, basically. So, there might be something that you, when it comes to romance, that you weren't acknowledging or that you weren't seeing beforehand, but now you are starting to understand. Maybe it's something you didn't think you deserved. Maybe it's a person that you didn't notice before that you're starting to notice now. Maybe they've, you know, it's one of those situations where it's like they were under your nose the whole time. But it is something that has been revealed to you. I think it might be more a quality of person, like something that somebody can embody that you are realizing that you deserve now. Maybe you thought you didn't deserve something in a relationship or in a romantic relationship. Maybe you thought you didn't deserve like your own space, or, you know, if maybe you found yourself in situations where you weren't given a lot of space, or maybe you weren't given enough attention like you really wanted. Maybe you thought you didn't deserve it, or anything. It didn't have to be those two things, but it could be something that, or maybe you didn't think that you deserved to find love. That's something that happens to people where they just kind of resign themselves and they feel like they don't deserve to find romantic love. And romantic love isn't for everybody. Not everybody wants romantic love, but again, because it was requested, I'm going to assume that you want it. And so maybe this is something that you are finally understanding, that you deserve to be like loved in a total and complete way, and surrounded in that warmth and that fire, and maybe you yourself want to be seen finally. Maybe you've gone a long time without really thinking that you were worthy, and that you've hidden your light, and now you're kind of starting to step into your own light. So the next card is Makal, the Hook, which is, you know, this one is such a complicated card. It is such a complicated card, I'll be honest. There's so much that goes into it, because it's not just like throwing your line out and seeing what gets hooked. It's like being tenacious and not giving up, like even when, you know, the fish is pulling really hard, or when the catch is really bad. And it's also knowing when to throw the catch back because it's not, or like back into the ocean because it's not ready. And, you know, understanding like where that safety lies and your own personal boundaries. It's a complicated card. It's probably the most complicated card you have, or that like in this deck, because there's so much going on with it, right? So in relation to the Kukui, what I'm kind of getting is maybe like you're definitely close to maybe having this breakthrough. Maybe the self-love, maybe the realizing that you deserve this thing, maybe it has made you feel safe to think that you don't deserve these things, and it's just been easier. But the more you pull and the more you tug on the line, the closer you get to reeling it in and seeing what was hidden beneath the surface, and all of your, you know, those insecurities and stuff where maybe you thought you just didn't deserve the love and respect that you do deserve. And you're very close to getting that. You just need to maybe be more aware of your needs, how you need to adjust your line, and understanding that, you know, just because, you know, there are plenty of other fish in the sea, and maybe that has some significance to you as far as, you know, not putting all your stock into one individual, or feeling like the only person you can get is the only person that you deserve. I think it's also worth thinking that, like, you don't want to take people for granted either, because if there is somebody who presents themselves to you and you do feel a connection with them, I don't want you to think that, like, oh, well, there's other people, there's always going to be somebody better out there, because that's not what this is about. It's about, like, if they embody the things that you are understanding that you deserve, and if they embody those things, then go for some stability with them, some steadfastness with them, and give it a chance. I'm never somebody who condones the idea of, like, there's always somebody better out there. You know what I mean? There might be, but I also think that's dismissive and reductive towards some of the people that we can kind of miss, who may have been perfect for us all along. You never know. You know, it's not easy to say. These things are rarely straightforward, but at the very least they give us things we can reflect on and consider before making, like, a decision. So the final card is Papuhea and the Doldrums. So there is an obstacle in front of you. Again, you can go through it, you can go around it, but you need to think about how you want to approach it. So this really is kind of playing into I'm seeing, like, self-worth, how to approach it, your healing, and how to approach, like, when somebody presents themselves to you, or when you decide to present yourself to somebody else. Think about these things carefully, and there's always room to act before, so you don't have any regrets, but I'm seeing that, like, if maybe for you, the thing you would regret most is acting without taking into consideration everything. At some point, you do need to act. You can't spend too long hemming and hawing. That's just kind of common sense. But maybe there's another path to get to where you need to be. For example, maybe you find yourself with somebody and they aren't ideal in that way, but maybe if you communicate with them, right, and give them the opportunity, which I always advocate, by the way. I am not somebody who's like, if they're not fulfilling your needs, just leave them. Unless it's like, you know, obviously an abusive situation or something like that. You need to, I'm very much in the camp of at least communicate to them what the issue is and give them the chance to fix it. And then if they don't fix it, then you can move on. I'm very much, you know, of course, you know, if that comes down to personal comfort and boundaries and stuff like that. But I do believe in giving people the chance to make things right before writing people off. That's my thing. At least when it comes to stuff like this. Obviously, I don't think that applies to like some of the bigger value conflicts, but I do think it's, you know, making a choice to speak up rather than sitting on the fence. Yeah. Sometimes some things speak more to us, and sometimes we might listen to something and it's like, that's not me at all. And that's totally understandable. All right. We are going to do one last reading. We're going to round this out at 20. We're coming up on 4 hours. We are going to round it out at 20. And I am going to do a romance reading for myself. Oh, God. Okay. All right. God. Anyway, I hope that made sense for you, Cadmium. And it's okay if it didn't, or if you don't feel it apply. Like I don't, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and be like I'm infallible or anything, or that people need to take any of this to heart. This is mostly just for self-reflection and for fun. You have a decent amount of self-love and worth, but it's certainly was supposed to go, no, I have self-love, but fail to see the aspects of it. I can see that. I don't know if it could be self-love, it could be maybe something that where you felt like you weren't deserving of it, or you're not seeing something the way that you thought, or maybe in a relationship you're more willing to make concessions when you should stick up for yourself. But it's all up to your interpretation, and if something doesn't land for you, then it doesn't land, and you don't try to like force it, you know. But if you see something in it, then that's great, and I can only improve. Come on, I need that last card, please. Oh, okay. Oh my god, this is reading me for fucking filth. Holy crap. Okay, here's my reading. Here's my romance reading, chat. Oh boy. Jeez. Alright, so to achieve romance, which, like, admittedly, I'm not, like, actively seeking, but it is, admittedly, like, in the back of my mind. Okay. So, first up we have the Eva, the Frigate Bird. Take action. Don't miss your chance. The time is now. What action do I need to take? What actions am I delaying? I'm not really shy about putting myself out there if I like somebody, so I don't think that's what this is referring to. I think it might be referring to something maybe in my environment to help, like, facilitate finding romance or something like that. I don't know. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. So we have Mo'o, letting go of the past, rebirth, and moving forward, shedding our old skin, outgrown it. Well, yeah, this makes sense to me. Right now I'm really working on improving the health of my body. And so maybe the Eva has to do with don't slack on this, stay focused, and, you know, stay focused, and then once you have the important things to facilitate your personal growth out of the way, you will be able to find somebody. And I think that lines up very neatly with the last one, which is Hahalua, which is, this person is, well, I mean, I don't want to self-aggrandize too much, but basically I shouldn't get distracted. I need to stay focused and appreciate my own potential and not compare myself to others, and because that's less energy I have for my own goals. So basically what I'm getting from these 3 cards, which it's a pretty easy reading to me at least, which is focus on getting your shit together, and then everything will work out the way it needs to. And that makes sense to me. All right, that's going to round us out for, oh my gosh, our final reading. That was 20 readings. I know I kind of... Oh, ad break coming up. Okay. All right, chat. We are going to... Oh, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I know it's been a lot. If you're still with me, I really appreciate it. Goddamn, it's been almost 4 hours. Let's go ahead and raid out to somebody. I love you guys so much. Thank you again. It's been a lot of fun. Who am I following right now? Who is on? I have... Okay, we're gonna raid into... We're gonna raid into Friday the 13th with drag queen Lady Lay, who is from Aotearoa, aka New Zealand. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Aloha, ahui ho. See you later.